So
Click on that.
they have a, if
Click
we go
on
ahead and
what?
go to resources up there,
Okay.
and then red flags in Ohio politics. And then if you go to local school boards, scroll down, and then you could open up the spreadsheet right there. Go to tracker work spreadsheet down there, just a little bit.
Sorry, I
That
can't see
red button
here.
right there. Yeah, that'll open up the whole spreadsheet. And so if you, first of all, I want to put on there a friend of mine right there, Ben Gwynn. He's running for school board out of Lakota, which is a school district near Cincinnati. If he is elected, and I hope and pray he does, he will be the youngest elected official in the state of Ohio at 18.
Really?
He took that from me, but he needs it. But candidate regularly shares content from extremist accounts such as Jack Siobic, Libs of TikTok, Moron Finder, and Wokeness. But if you scroll down,
I love Libs of TikTok.
Yeah. So you're going to be on here soon. If you scroll down all the way to the Medina County on the far left, then number 68 or so.
Okay.
It's the funniest thing
yeah,
ever. Okay, there we go. So they updated.
You're the only
actually.
one in Medina.
Yeah. It's so funny. Heavily involved with the extremist organization Turning Point USA, attended multiple conferences, attempted to start a Turning Point chapter at his high school. And so that was what it originally said, because that was a ABC5 interview from the Charlie Kirk vigil that I spoke at. And then I was on a radio broadcast with Chris Long and the Ohio Christian Alliance. They're a Christian conservative group. They got a radio broadcast. And that was only 2 weeks ago, and they updated that frequently. So I think they're watching me, which is kind of funny.
Serves as Ohio correspondent for Campus Reform, an organization dedicated to exposing leftist bias and abuse of the... Amen.
Yeah, and so that's a group called Leadership Institute. They're a conservative training organization for individuals who are just trying to get involved. And they have a thing called Campus Reform, but they're keeping tabs on me, which I think is kind of cool. Maybe I can ask if we can use this as the primer for a Wikipedia page or something like that.
This is insane. I did not know that. Did you know this was out there?
Oh yeah.
I had no idea this was out there.
I'm just shocked.
I don't want to say it's me.
Are you disappointed you're not on it?
Well, I'm just shocked at the amount of attack against freedom of speech.
Yeah.
Like when this topic came up for us, it was, I was talking about before, the state law for school to have a student group. If you accept one, you accept all.
Right.
Now, there's some crazy stuff that you wouldn't want to accept.
Right.
But the people that don't understand that and want to fight tooth and nail over that comment, this group, we all heard when Charlie got killed, he hated women, he hated people of color.
Yeah, we heard all that good stuff.
And you spend 15 minutes watching his videos.
Right.
You know that's bunk. So
Yeah.
I just wish you talked about, promoting Medina as one of the top schools, and you can get away from vouchers. That's how you would draw people in. I'm more of a Highland First guy,
Yeah.
but I'm pro all of our neighbors.
Right.
Welcome to the night zone, hear the warriors speak. Life's the battlefield and we ain't feeling weak. From love to the game and the power we seek. Our voice is strong, breaking every peak. Talk of love and battle scars, everything that's real. From touchdown to sermon, you know the deal. Strength in every word we begin to reveal. Truth in every tale as our lives we unveil. Talk of love and battle scars, everything that's real. From touchdown to sermon, you know the deal. Strength in every word we begin to reveal. Truth in every tale as our lives we unveil. Protect and provide, we're knights in the fray. Nothing off limits, we got something to say. Life and love, fitness and fight all day. Guys Night Podcast, let's ride the wave. Politics and prayers ain't no subject we shun. Keep it real, keep it raw till the battle's won. Fitness tips to faith, every topic under the sun. With honor and valor, every man's battle begun. Warriors with word swords through the air. Every point sharp and every talk fair. Knights at the round table, come and pull up a chair. Join the brotherhood, words laid bare. Protect and provide, we're knights in the fray. Nothing off limits, we got something to say. Life and love, fitness and fight all day.
Greetings, everybody. Welcome to the Guys Night Podcast. And with election season upon us, we've got some awesome guests to join us tonight. But first of all, my name's Will McEwen, and to my left, as always, is David. What's happening, dude?
What's up, guys?
And I don't think there's any doubt that we've always been pro-education, and we've talked about the different education levels throughout the school. But with election season, we've got Board of Education seats or school board seats up for re-election and election. So we got one from 2 different school districts. First, let me introduce Chris from the Highland School District. 12 years, correct?
Yep. Yes, sir.
Congratulations. Just tell us a little about yourself, kind of an overhaul of, how you got started in the school board and where you went to school, where you grew up, et cetera.
Yeah. So family's been part of the area for 100 years. Grandfather went to Highland when it was not Highland yet. Me and my brothers went to Highland. My kids go to Highland. So it's a family thing.
Okay.
When my oldest, who's now 18, started 13 years ago, I wanted to be involved at the highest level. I wanted, make a difference where? PTO, PTA, sure, that's cool. But to me, it was the school board. So there was an opportunity to run. I ran. I was elected. And it's just about giving back. So we can dig into passion and stuff, but been married 25 years, 3 boys, and constantly involved in everything from football to wrestling to you name it. We get involved.
Awesome.
So give back. That's the message.
I can't ask for more. And then on the opposite side of the spectrum, we go from the experienced to the inexperienced, young and excited Aidan for the Medina School District, correct?
Yes, thank you. I'm Aidan Haggard, running for the Medina City School Board. I went to Medina High School and into AI Root Middle School. I moved up from Kentucky, Kenton County, Kentucky in 2017 on account of my father's job. That was me starting into the 6th grade. And then went to Root Middle School. When I was there, I tutored children at Ella Canavan, helped them with reading, which is kind of a passion of mine, literacy. And then when I went to high school, I was heavily involved in probably half the clubs there. And so now I'm just I just graduated last year in 2024 and just trying to give back to the best I can.
That's awesome. And really excited because, obviously at 19 years old, something made you say, I'm going to run for school board. And that's a pretty lofty task for most 19-year-olds who are still either, shotgunning beers on a Friday night on a college campus, right, or, working at the little gas station and smoking pot behind the on their breaks. So what made you say, like, what, I'm just going to go straight into this? And are you doing college at the same time? What else are you doing right now? Yeah,
I am currently a student at Ashland University. It's one of the closest universities here to Medina. There are no universities or colleges within our county. I'm studying political science there with a minor of classical learning. I also work for the Ashland County Prosecuting Attorney's Office in the Civil Division. And so I keep pretty busy out there. I'm our political director for our college Republicans. I'm our political correspondent for our radio station and television station on campus. I'm the student senate comptroller. And so in my free time, I'm running for school board.
Wow.
Which,
free time.
You know what? I firmly believe the good Lord has blessed me with like 26 hours in the day or something like that because somehow I'm able to make time. And of course, I'll make cuts to those extracurriculars when as necessary for the school board.
I was going to say, that's probably the next question out of my mouth was going to be like, how are you going to handle this? But
yeah, what it's realistically looking like is I'll probably I have a radio show on campus. We have about a 3,000 watt reach. I'll probably keep that. But besides that, I'll probably hand over the torch for college Republicans and for the student senate, trying to serve my community moreover. And so probably just going to be tossing the torch with that one to the next person. Kind of been thankful that I've been able to help. I'm a sophomore there. Been able to help some freshmen kind of get matriculated into those student organizations. And so look forward to kind of passing that over. Yeah, most 19-year-olds wouldn't be thinking about this. No. I'm definitely an old soul of sorts. And so that kind of definitely played into a lot of it as well.
Well, speaking of old soul, you mentioned political science and somebody else that's an old soul at this table. Back when Reagan was being born, this guy thought he could go to college for political science as well. Is that right?
I do have my bachelor's in poli-sci as well. So yeah, back before when the internet was new. Wow. Back when we'd have to like go to libraries and stuff like that.
I thought we had the internet for the moon landing. No.
Yeah. Well,
let's not go there.
Yeah.
That's next show.
What so are you the first with political aspirations in your family?
Oh yeah, I don't even know where it came from, to be honest. When I was a kid, if you would have asked me what I wanted to do as a kid, my parents always insist on it that I said that I wanted to operate the garbage trucks, but the ones that you don't have to get out, and the ones that have the big cranes.
Just with the arm.
Yeah, the big arm ones. That always kind of fascinated me, that, or like a train conductor. And so I always had these passions. And then I got involved in like student government in middle school. And then kind of was involved. I wanted to go in the theater, but I decided I didn't want to be unemployed, and so I decided to go. So I decided to do basically the second worst, which is political science. And so kind of got a good understanding. We tried to start a Turning Point chapter at Medina High School. We had to study a lot of case law because of that, and so I realized, I want to go to law school, and in order to do that in the state of Ohio, you have to get a degree ahead of time. And so now I'm studying political science. Really enjoying it. We learn these radical ideas like all men are created equal and that they're endowed by their creators with certain unalienable rights, to the rights of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, and many other things. And so, I really enjoy that, getting a very nice liberal arts education, well-rounded in that aspect. And so, that's kind of my background. We kind of have similar backgrounds to that extent.
Yeah.
If you're a Democrat and you still are watching, because Hayden, you made the crime of mentioning Republican and Turning Point within the first 2 minutes of this podcast, stay tuned. It gets better. So obviously, you guys come with this perspective of two different aspects. Right. You ran 12 years ago, first time. You just want to be involved at the highest level for your son's benefit and for you to get a probably better understanding of the education system, I presume, right?
Yeah, until you're on the inside, you do not know.
I mean, I don't think I don't have a clue, which is why, obviously, anytime with us doing a lot of local stuff with local politics, I was like, this would be a great time to learn more about the school system myself personally. Because I don't think a lot of people really know. You see the clips on, TikTok or YouTube or things like that, where a dad's screaming about a kid, a litter box in the bathroom or things like that. And you're like, that doesn't happen at my school. But you know what? It could be, right? So I was like, this could be a great opportunity for people to learn not only like what it takes to be on that school board, but then also the kind of things that you're responsible for.
Right.
We had John Coyne on. And we're like, oh, the mayor has zero to do with the education system, essentially, which is the last thing I would have expected prior, because I don't spend that much time in local government.
Well, like one of the the funniest thing is like you call off snow days. No, I don't call off snow days. but our superintendent, she'll call us and be like, what's going on in your neck of the woods? Because like Medina is more centralized. Mm-hmm. We're like a bowling alley. Yeah, 80 square miles, and if what's going on up north doesn't always happen down south in Sharon. Right. So we'll get a phone call. Hey, what are you guys seeing at 5 o'clock in the morning? And that's not our responsibility. But when you bake yourself into the system, you become part of every little nuance.
Sure.
Do we drive curriculum? We get, no pun intended, educated about curriculum. But there's roles for that. There's, the biggest role, and this is one of the things that a lot of people don't understand, we're financially responsible for the district. It's fiduciary.
Right.
And then we go down to policy. We hire a CEO, superintendent. They run the show.
Right.
We support her. In our case. And that's where it starts, and it goes much deeper.
So you guys are responsible for where all the dollars are spent, things like that. So you guys are probably looking at a whole different kind of budget this year with the increase in property taxes. But, there's school boards like Cloverleaf who are actually trying to do some reductions and things like that with the levy. Have you guys had any discussions? I know you're in an election cycle right now. So is that like the president where you basically don't do anything the last year of your fourth year because you're
we've been pretty deep this year. So we had a levy that we ran. I'll go a little deep here into civics, basically. We had an election we were on the ballot for a levy. Mm-hmm. Now, just for everybody's purposes, levy and bond, two different things.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Bonds are for capital improvements, buildings, if you will. Levies are for operating funds. Mm-hmm. So we tried to pass a bond or a levy, in May. And that was the first time in 14 years.
Wow. Most
Ohio school districts, it's a 5-year cycle.
Yeah.
So if you do the math, we almost went 3 cycles. So I'm not going to say it's lost on a lot of people, but when you don't talk about something for 14 years,
it's a shock when you all of a sudden need it.
Right. And in an environment where taxes are totally taboo right now.
Yeah.
And I get it. Okay. Like we have a lot of people in the district and you get more people that come in. Well, the levy that passed 14 years ago, like you don't collect any more money when somebody moves in.
Right.
So if I have a house and you have a house and you move in, I don't get extra money. It actually depreciates yours and my tax level.
Correct.
But you brought up the appraisals. That'll eat up any savings because now we all pay more in property tax.
Right.
So where the schools might be able to give a deduction, they can't because of the property taxes. So what Clover,
you're talking about the school's individual property taxes, like the school district's their own property.
Yes.
Right.
Oh, and the houses.
Right.
So we all got the reappraisals, right? We've got them every 3 years. So it doesn't do any good to save and then lose. So I know Cloverleaf, they went after an income tax.
Right.
So to answer your question about what have we been talking about, we need more guidance from the state. We need the state to step up because there's no show. and then we can have a better answer locally. So we're not saving this. We're not trying to not have a levy right now for the school board or for the school because we're running for the school board. People have accused us of that. Not the case. We just don't have enough answers. We have to fundraise for a campaign. It has to be outside money. And we just don't know enough because there's still things going on at the state level that they don't have answers for.
Yeah.
So we're waiting.
We've heard that a couple of times, I think, in a couple of different episodes where Ohio as a state is Columbus is really failing the rest of the state right now. Is that, what do you lead that to? Is it because of them being in a cycle, or do you think it's just they don't know what to do because of national politics or national budget cuts?
Well, I mean, the sad thing is when people bring national politics to the local level, we're all registered as something.
Right.
But I told Dad, we went to a party last night for a Halloween party, had my Beastie Boys on. And I had to explain, this is when you walk into a school atmosphere, you don't drop your personality, you don't drop your beliefs, but you drop the partisanship.
Right.
It's not going to do any good. So you can smell somebody right away when they're coming in for those partisan reasons or personal reasons. You can have your own beliefs, but I was mentioning to you guys before the show started, I have a lot of support from all sides of all aisles. I mean, there's more than one. So I don't like to alienate because we can have a full conversation and get straight to the point. I just think Columbus is caught up in the national portion of things, and we're paying the price.
Yeah, and I think that, that brings when you talk about you as a school board member or school board in general,
mm-hmm.
Those kids don't have any affiliations, right? The people that you're in charge of serving don't have affiliations.
No.
Their parents do, which 1 out of 1,000 parents should not be affecting policy, in my opinion, for 999 other students. But unfortunately, because of local politics becoming so nationalized in a sense, right? Then you have 400 other parents who their kids are not infected or involved at all, but because they affiliate with the one side of a party or the other, they feel like they have to jump on that board.
Yep.
Until it affects them negatively, and then it's like, oh shit, maybe I shouldn't have jumped on that, idea. That was a stupid idea. But unfortunately, that's where when we say local politics should not have sides, it's the same. It should not be where national politics are. It's too late. It's already happened. Everybody's already picked a team. You're already on it, and you just got to hope that your team outnumbers the other team. And right now, it seems that one team is the team of like normalcy, while the other team is the team of like, let's just disrupt as much shit as we possibly can and create chaos.
Yeah.
And it's really difficult as a citizen in the community when you see that affect things like a school board election or the mayor race or these different things, because
whether you're a parent or not, I mean, I know I have 3 boys, and whether you know kids, speak of that we know of.
Got him.
I got to call Kentucky though. We'll find out. But my boys, they have their own beliefs from what we've shared, from things we've done, whether it's morals, dating,
as a parent.
faith. Yeah, that's from me.
Right.
So when you look at these other kids in the school, we have 1,100 kids in the high school. Like, they should be getting fed from, I always call it the kitchen table. You need to be fed from the kitchen table, both in food and from your parents. And we shouldn't be guiding you. The teachers should support you, but they shouldn't be infiltrating that segue.
Right.
And I'll give kudos to our teachers. We had the foundation dinner last night for the Highland Foundation, and the president of the teachers union and myself, we sang Prince's Purple Rain, karaoke. We're good friends. We get along and we work. It's that bridging of gaps. Is that the right term? Yeah. Gap. Go over that gap, bring it together, deliver something that you can promise on, and not bring the sides up.
Right.
That's the difference.
Absolutely. 100%.
Yeah.
Now, Aidan, just because you're new to, obviously you're familiar with politics. You mentioned Turning Point, you mentioned Republicans. So you've kind of had your own, whether your parents were a part of that or not, you've had your own, morals and set kind of your own guidelines as far as what's important to you. But did you expect it to be like it's been so far at 19 years old for a school board seat?
As in like the partisan issues, or
as far as we'll talk about some more, but campaigns against you. Did you think like a community, because to me it's like, who the hell is spending money to run against the school board seat? Like that seems in Medina, Ohio, that seems crazy to me, but it's out there for both sides, I'm assuming.
It's absolutely crazy. So we've been, last Friday was either Christmas or Judgment Day, depending on how you look at it. So when campaign finance reports were being released. And so we had like roughly about $4,000 in income. And that's about what the school board race costs for about anybody. It's about $4,000. They get you enough money for mailers and signs and all that stuff.
So when you say the $4,000, that came from your supporters or that comes from the school itself?
It's from the supporters. Yeah.
Okay.
I put like $100 seed money in there, and then everything else came in from supporters.
Okay.
And that's basically what about most of the campaigns look like. I never thought that people would be spending money against me and the effect of like explicitly against me. I thought they would have just like, oh, I don't like Aidan Haggard, let's donate to my opponents kind of thing. I kind of expected that. I never would have thought that something with only about 45,000 constituents or so would have gotten into the situation that it is right now.
Right.
And so I never would have thought that it would have gotten extremely partisan as well, in the effect that, our founding fathers set up our country to where the national government really shouldn't affect you that much. It's your state and local government that truly do affect your day-to-day lives. I was talking with some people recently that, the government shut down, but I'm going to be honest, my life hasn't changed that much. But if the state government and our local government shut down, my life would be very much affected. And that's how the way it is. And so I never would have guessed that it would have gotten like this. I never would have guessed that outside influences would try to be affecting Medina's elections. But it's something that's happened before, unfortunately, here in Ohio and Medina and the United States.
All right. So we're going to talk about this real quick for those who are not here in Medina, Ohio, or even those who are that aren't aware of this, obviously when you get into these podcasts and you start to have guests come on and start talking about who you're going to have on, you have to do a little bit of research. You have to start, watching social media, kind of just getting an idea. And then obviously, I think for about 3 or 4 weeks, I've been following your accounts and just kind of seeing what's out there. And I saw a video that you had recently done. And I should have pulled that video up, but do you have that video, by the way, James? The video that he did in response to this?
I think it's currently, it got taken off of Facebook. We had to take it down for a second. But I just...
One second.
Just a second. We do have it on a hard drive, but unfortunately not here.
All right, no worries. Okay, but basically during this thing, you just announced that, you just brought up the fact that you were surprised, I think, that there was an actual ad taken out that showed on Netflix. Is that right?
Yeah, so I get an email. I'm at the university dining hall and I'm having lunch, and I get an email from a constituent who I've never met before saying, "Hey, I've never met you before, but I just saw a television ad saying that we shouldn't vote for you." And they were attacking you, and they said that the money must be coming from somewhere. And this means that you're probably the candidate that we'd like to support. Can I get a yard sign? And so I see this, and I'm like, awesome. I'm like trying to figure out where is this advertisement. I couldn't find anything. Yeah, so he saw it on cable television. I think it's being maybe carried through like Armstrong or whatever. But other individuals, I think perhaps on this clip that we have up here, it was on like Netflix and other streaming platforms. And so the people that are paying for this have to be paying a decent amount of money. And I think it's at least 2 times as much as we're paying for our campaign itself. It's absolutely crazy.
All right, so we've got this video. Forgive me, it's I'm trying to blow it up here. Hold on a second here. All right, and we're gonna play this. This was taken from somebody's house. I'm presuming like they on their TV. So this is the best quality. But here we go.
They pit parents against educators to expand unaccountable private school vouchers and cut funding. Aidan Haggard is wrong for our schools.
Oh, dude.
I was personally disappointed because like I have a sad excuse of a beard, but at least I have one. In this photo, it's like it's me. I think that was my like sophomore year of high school at like the county library or something like that. I think they probably took it from like my Instagram or whatever. But like nothing about this campaign against me was unique. I mean, first of all, we made the video basically saying, hey, I'm here. I want to help our students. I want to help our taxpayers. I'm not here to divide anybody. But these people are making these claims that are not based in fact. Here's what I'm actually running on, because we want to keep a positive campaign. Yeah. And so I finally got this, and I was at first, humored by it because I was like, what is this? None of it's applicable to me. My formal stance on school vouchers is that we as a public school district should be making our public schools so amazing and so great that people wouldn't want to go to other schools. I think we should build ourselves up instead of trying to tear others down. But, we definitely made no formal statements about that, but that is my formal opinion. But I see that, the whole thing pitting parents against teachers, it's completely not based in fact. And it turns out that they're actually using the exact same ad with the exact same, what sounds like AI voice.
Yeah, it's definitely AI.
It's absolutely crazy. They use they don't even use he. So they're just very, very lazy with this. But they use it for like 20 candidates across Ohio, if not more.
So who is it that's behind this? Did you get to that? Did you guys figure that out? And
Yeah.
he's looking over.
Well,
He's
I
got
mean,
his campaign manager here with him.
He's only got so many opponents. Like, how many people are running against you?
But
So-
it doesn't have to be the opponent. I'm assuming it could be.
Well, who else would benefit if he loses?
It could be a larger
group.
side. Is what
I'm not saying you're thinking about who done it. I'm talking about who benefits from
Oh,
it.
sure,
Like
sure.
there's how many people are running against you?
There's 4 of us running for 3 seats. So as long as
Okay.
I'm not last place, I win. So I'm surprised that like the loco focos of the Democratic Party weren't like, what if we make signs that said anybody but Aidan, and then just did that, and then automatically they would win.
Right.
You know, I could say that now because I don't think they can order yard signs quick enough for the election. But like, I just, you know, I if they would have done that, it would have been something else. But those who benefit from it are the 3 leftist Democratic people who are running against me. And so, as to regards of who paid for it, we have been looking into the campaign finance reports of these people. They're the niftiest things ever. We found out that it was a treasurer for hire out of a Democratic. Basically, he was a Democratic treasurer for hire. Whenever you start what's called a political action committee, a PAC, a PCE, or whatever it is, you have to have a treasurer to be the person who facilitates all the paperwork for that. And he was the treasurer for hire for it, but for 2 organizations. It was a group that paid for this one specifically. It was not endorsed or paid for by any candidate or political party. It was a group called Ohioans United for Public Education. And then the other group was Ohioans Against Extremism.
Hold on one second. Ohioans.
United for Public Education.
Sorry, I just want to have these on my notes so I can be looking this stuff up. And what was the other one?
Ohioans Against Extremism. And they're the ones who have the watch list against me. And so there's a red flag list. I'm quite flattered that I'm on a watch list already. And the first reason they put me on there was,
All right, so hold on. I'm going to pull this up on this screen because this is crazy to me. I didn't even know those things existed. All right.
they got to get better at
Right.
website design.
Right. Yeah, this is a really, there's not much effort in this. We fight extremism in the building community. Damn camera's right in my eyeball. Sign up for an email update. I got that.
Is
We keep up.
WTF an actual like website
I'm
extension in today's
at that,
world?
like .mil, .com, .cc. I don't know what
Those
that
are
is.
all taken. So now we've resorted to .wtf.
Nice, classy.
Bills we're watching in Ohio is 136. So red flags from. So you're on a list on here because of something you've discussed, or
So they have if
Click
we
on
go,
what?
go to resources up there,
okay.
and then red flags in Ohio politics. And then if you go to local school boards, scroll down, and then you could open up the spreadsheet right there. Go to tracker work spreadsheet down there, just a little bit.
Sorry, I
That
can't see
red button
here.
right there. Yeah, that'll open up the whole spreadsheet. And so if you, first of all, I want to put on there a friend of mine right there, Ben Gwynn. He's running for school board out of Lakota, which is a school district near Cincinnati. If he is elected, and I hope and pray he does, he will be the youngest elected official in the state of Ohio at 18.
Really?
He took that from me, but he needs it. But candidate regularly shares content from extremist accounts such as Jack Siobic, Libs of TikTok, Moron Finder, and Wokeness. But if you scroll down,
I love Libs of TikTok.
yeah. So you're going to be on here soon. If you scroll down all the way to the Medina County on the far left, I'm like number 68 or so.
Okay.
It's the funniest thing
Oh, yeah,
ever.
I
Okay,
see
there we go. So they updated.
You're the
it,
only
actually.
one in Medina.
Yeah. It's so funny. Heavily involved with the extremist organization Turning Point USA, attended multiple conferences, attempted to start a Turning Point chapter at his high school. And so that was what it originally said, because that was a ABC5 interview from the Charlie Kirk vigil that I spoke at. And then I was on a radio broadcast with Chris Long and the Ohio Christian Alliance. They're a Christian conservative group. They got a radio broadcast. And that was only 2 weeks ago, and they updated that frequently. So I think they're watching me, which is kind of funny.
Serves as Ohio correspondent for Campus Reform, an organization dedicated to exposing leftist bias and abuse of the. Amen.
Yeah, and so like that's a group called Leadership Institute. They're a conservative training organization for individuals who are just trying to get involved. And they have a thing called Campus Reform, but they're keeping tabs on me, which I think is kind of cool. Maybe I can like ask if we can like use this as like the primer for like a Wikipedia page or something like that.
This is insane. Like I did not know that. Did you know this was out there?
Oh yeah.
I had no idea this was out
Yeah.
there.
I'm just shocked.
I don't want to
at
say
the-
it's
Are you
me.
disappointed you're not on it?
Well, I'm just shocked at the amount of like attack against freedom of speech.
Yeah.
Like when this topic came up for us, it was, I was talking about before, the state law for school to have a student group. If you accept one, you accept all.
right.
Now, there's some crazy stuff that you wouldn't want to accept,
Right.
but the people that don't understand that and want to fight tooth and nail over that comment, like this group, I mean, we all heard when Charlie got killed, oh, he hated women, he hated people of color.
Yeah, we heard all that good
and
stuff.
and you spend 15 minutes watching his videos,
Right.
you know that's bunk. So
Yeah.
I just wish you talked about promoting Medina as one of the top schools, and you can get away from vouchers. That's how you would draw people in. I'm more of a Highland First guy,
Yeah.
but I'm pro all of our neighbors.
Right near Detroit.
We're getting
All right, so what?
$16.50 per kid.
Right. So if you talk the difference of $2,000 or even $1,000 difference per student over the course of 200, 300, 400 students, that's a lot of money on a yearly basis,
Yes.
right? What makes them more qualified to handle that money than any other school district? Because they're suffering? Well, maybe they're suffering because this kid broke his iPad for the third time and you just kept giving him new iPads and need more money.
Right.
Versus the school district that's either not using iPads or just doing it with less, but doing it better.
Right.
And then so we get into this fight of like, okay, well, and then school choice is a big thing now, where that money for that student follows him to whatever school he goes to. Well, I'm sorry, do we not care about our kids' education? If for some reason I think it's better for my kid to go to a private school than a public school, why should I not be allotted some of that same benefit from the state that's going to the school that my kid chooses, right?
Yeah, I think the money would stay if the schools were at the par where they'd be better than the private.
So that's the next thing. As a parent, I'm not going to send my kid to a private school as if I feel like they're getting a fair education and a good education at their public school. Right. I'm not going to take the time off work to drive my kid to school rather than having a bus or take him away from his friends to take him to a school 20 minutes away. Or if I live in a city, busing 30 minutes out of city in order to go to the private school. I'm not going to do that unless there's something about that school that draws that, whether it's a better education, whether it's better teachers, whether it's cleaner education or cleaner schools, cleaner system. And that's ultimately driven off the school board, right? Like you guys play a big impact in the things that get improved and the things that are overseen as far as the school goes.
It's cultural.
Yeah.
I mean, we talked, I just said that we get $1,650 per student from the state. It costs $12,000 a year per student.
Wow.
The rest of that money, local. So you talk about property taxes and where they're at, and then we talked about rising houses and adding houses and no new levies. A lot of that's lost on people, rightfully so, because we haven't had a long-standing conversation. But if your school's not up to snuff and you're not offering that quality top-level education, what's driving people to come to you?
Right.
I mean, I have a cousin who works in Parma. They've had building after building shut down. Population's decreased. Some people would say, the education is not where they want it. That's tough. How do you deal with that? You have all these people that are students, families, teachers, careers. That's on the board.
So for like just ground level knowledge, like, 'cause I didn't go to school in either of these systems, so I just know what I hear. Like my day job nowadays is in real estate, so I hear a lot of opinions on school. So I mean, I know from buyers wanting to move into Highland because they want their kids to go play football there or softball or whatever. And then, but I guess my question would be, nationally we hear a lot of stuff about school choice and the private schools and all of these things. So are people going, and you guys can answer independently from your perspectives, but are people seeking your schools? Are you losing kids to private school?
Hold on 1 second. I'm sorry, guys. Something just happened.
Holding.
Nothing ever happens when you're asking questions.
Hold one, please. I honestly, dude, I was just making sure I wasn't seeing my little red dot move, and I was like, "What's going on?" And then it's doing the little spinny wheel of death that fucking Adobe likes to do. I'm sorry. It was a really good question. I was happily listening. Fuck. We're back. Sorry about the technical difficulties. Doesn't usually happen. We might have been hacked by the extremist red flag organization that you had me look up on the computer. But David, you were the last one to have a question. I interrupted you so rudely. So go ahead if you remember what you were going to say.
We'll blame this one on your MacBook over there. Is that the new MacBook Error?
No.
Get it?
See what I did there? MacBook Error.
Move on with your question, please. I'm not happy right now.
Yeah, clearly. So nationally, over the last couple of years. Obviously, we just came out of an election nationally, 2024, school choice, all the shenanigans and everything going on in schools was pretty hotly debated topics. So locally, what does that look like? Is our private schools, and the question is to both of you guys can answer independently for the school districts, but what's the competition look like? Do you have people that are upping and putting their kids in private schools? Are they moving? And I was saying, I'm well aware that people seek to move into Highland for sports and such, but so what does that look like at ground level in both of your districts?
Right. I mean, when I was a kid at Highland, there was always the one or two kids that were going to Walsh. They had athletic dreams, and they wanted to go and achieve those. I mean, now, my oldest is a senior, plays football. He has for 12 years. Teams are phenomenal. We just walked off 10-0 last Friday.
Congratulations, by the way. That's awesome.
You. Yeah, great coach Mike Gibbons, phenomenal guy. Salt of the earth, will do anything for those kids.
It's crazy. I remember playing Highland this is back when it was the Pioneer Conference in like 99, 2000. I remember going and playing Highland even as a freshman in 96, playing varsity against them, because that was the team where we got to take a day off, basically. You guys only had like 25 kids on the team and stuff like that. So it's awesome to see where that come from.
Massive shift. So when you talk about people coming, the joke is if a house goes up for sale on Monday, it's gone on Friday.
Yeah.
And again, over to Medina, that's not a knock on any neighbor. It's where we're all aspiring to be.
Yeah.
So we get a lot of kids that want to come in, the families come in, and in the townships, because there's township trustee races right now, there's we have a 2-acre minimum in most townships. We do have a lot of Wadsworth annexations that reduce those, so it builds up a population real quick. We have 3 elementaries. The Hinckley one up north, about 400 kids. The Granger one, about 450, and Sharon's probably sitting strong at 750.
Wow.
Big flux on the bottom. So how do you handle that, right? And how do you keep it, small town, but you invite all your friends? I said I'm Highland first. I said I've been here 100 years. Everybody wants to say, oh, we were on the Mayflower. We came over, we were here first. That's awesome. Everybody wants to be that guy. And maybe I sit in that situation. Cool, whatever. But even somebody who's been here 5 months, they buy into the system, and it's not a cult. It's just a successful system. You're part of it too. We had the PAC that's supporting us called us homegrown candidates. And of course, people took some angst with it. It wasn't my word. It was the PAC's word. But I had to sit there and explain, this means all of us. This isn't, there's not a marker on the chalkboard that says, 20 years, not enough.
No scarlet letter.
Yes. You don't count. So, we're not dealing with the private issue as much. Like I said, we do still have 1 or 2 kids that want to go and, St. Ed, St. Ignatius. That's fine.
Yeah.
Do your thing. But I think we're proving that we're almost like a public-private education.
I would say it's close to that. That's because you guys don't allow open enrollment there, though.
No.
I think you're the only school district in Medina that doesn't allow open enrollment.
I talked about trustees and we talked about services. Every community has to offer a service, and all those services cost money. I've had numerous conversations at town halls with trustees where, who's paying the taxes? There's not an assisted living. There's an older subdivision up in Hinckley where we were just at a meeting and somebody was asking, well, those people don't pay taxes. Well, their rent pays the taxes, and then the taxes pay for the services. So when we talk about open enrollment, I think we would be inundated with individuals, and we literally could not maintain our services.
Yeah, because, and correct me if I'm wrong, but open enrollment, while the additional student gets you that $1,600, that person's coming from out of the district.
Yep.
So because the rest of that money is maybe not following them, or whatever the case might be, they're not getting a voucher or anything like that. You're flipping the bill for those outside and not receiving the tax benefit from them. Right.
And so our buildings aren't big enough.
Right.
Everything's scaled. Like we just built our 3 buildings in 2018.
For the elementary schools?
Yes.
Right.
And
they are barely fit the classes that are in them.
The state will not allow you to count heads that are not in subdivisions. So if you have 1,000 kids in one subdivision, you think it's going to project to 1,500, they don't care. So you lose on the state side. And if you happen to push the button and build the building bigger, you lose on the family side. Why'd you build this so big?
Right.
So you have to thread the needle, ride the line, and put it where it's at. Now, we did keep our old Sharon Elementary property because we all know, when do you buy property? Yesterday.
Yeah.
So we kept it. It's worth about $250,000.
Right.
Not chump change. But we could never find that property again in 10 years if we needed to expand.
And if you did, it was going to cost you 4 times that.
Yeah.
Easily.
So if we go back to the school board, and I'm sure you've ran into this, it's about planning, future planning, future conversations. Don't get so hung up on today.
Right.
Because you've already planned for it.
It's interesting. I think that we've had that conversation whether it was Justin from the trustees or it was a coin from the mayor. Everything locally, especially, is planning for 5 or 10 years down the road.
Totally.
And it makes you think like, oh, how many things in national government are for planning 5, 10 years down the road, right? Unfortunately,
yeah, in theory, but they're planned around election cycles at the national level.
Well, of course, because that's all they really have to be judged on.
So yeah, same question, Aidan, and then for you, like at your level, I mean, we're not going into ancient history, we're going back a couple of years because, like, what did that look like for people that you were in school with?
Yeah, so a couple things. I mean, when we moved up here, my father works for a company out of Parma, and we were moving up here trying to find which community would work best. And a big thing that attracted us was the Medina City School District. And so that kind of got us a good, starting point. We're going to move here to Medina, and we built a house, and that was in 2017. We have, since about that time, in the last 7 years or so, we've lost 1,000 pupils. Whether it be because we're an aging community, whether it be because of individuals wanting to go to other schools, for various reasons, we've lost 1,000 pupils over the last 7 years or so. And the problem is that we have strong competition near us. We have St. Ed's, St. Iggy's, we have Walsh Jesuit, we have the Northeast Ohio Classical Academy that just opened up, we have the Medina Christian Academy. There are several options that are around us. I mean, if you wanted to, you can. And the biggest thing that I've adopted is someone who's interested in classical learning. There are aspects of classical learning that are typically embedded into a private education.
And when you consider classical learning, what does that mean to you? Because
yes, thank you so much for
somebody could be
asking that.
sitting there and be like, what, like the violin? No.
Well, I mean, it definitely a violin or something like that could play into it. I mean, it looks like reading great text and then analyzing them. It kind of goes back to how you read. Phonics is kind of one, not a defining attribute, but definitely one of them. Going back to reading systems that work, going back to a Socratic method. If you kind of want to look a little bit more into what it means to have that, I mean, a book I could recommend is Plato's Meno, talking about how people learn through questions. And so that's kind of what that looks like. There are certain aspects like that we can incorporate into our public schools, aspects that people enjoy from private schools that maybe if we incorporate them into our public schools, we can benefit and people would not want to go to a private school. Then, of course, we cannot become a parochial school. I mean, there's certain things that we just simply cannot do within the school district because of state and federal laws and the Constitution. But with regards to that, I think that we need to have that adoption of, okay, certain things that we are doing right now just simply do not work. 24% of our kids in third grade cannot read at a third grade level. That's a problem. What can we do? What can we take from
Is
other
that Medina
districts?
specific, by the
Yes.
way? Yeah.
I mean, it's comparable in almost every single school district in the state of Ohio. Of course, there's exceptions. But that's what we have here in Medina. 24% of our third graders can't read at a third grade level. And a lot of individuals struggle with literacy going into college. We got a 3 out of 5 stars on our college military and workforce readiness. That's a 60% right there. And I think a large part of that plays into that literacy rates. We also got a 3 out of 5 stars in literacy. And so we have these problems that are facing us right now, and people are trying to find an escape possibly to a private or charter school. And so we need to see what they're doing well and adopt that.
Now, are these numbers, and I mean, obviously you're 19, so to look back 10 years, you're going through data points, not an actual experience, but are these things that have changed over the last decade? Are they going back further than that? I mean, to me, like the biggest thing in school that changed that, like, to me, is math, right? The different math. I think anybody my age that's 40, 50 years old, we look at how kids do math today and we're like, well, no wonder you can't do shit in your head. Like, what happened to multiplication tables?
Yeah, why don't you guys explain Common Core math to us right now? Go.
Oh, goodness. So I take step 1 and step 2, 3, and 4, and I cut out 2 and 3 and just do 1 and 4.
Okay, thank you.
I mean, I've actually, one of the pleasures of being on this campaign trail is I've been able to just intensely learn about certain things. And right now I've been learning a lot about how people read and how students read and learn to read. I've been going in. It's about 20 years ago they started switching the way that we teach reading. For the longest time, it was phonics. You read, you spell out the word, and that's how you do it. Now it's trying to understand context. What does the word mean in the context of the sentence? Could you guess what this word could possibly be? And it's really wreaking havoc on our students. So much in the effect that, like, I am currently trying to teach myself on how to read because I was taught in that system, and students have been for the last 20 years or so. And so we have a situation like my third campaign policy is age appropriate curriculum. I think that we should be giving children, what works at their age level. We have something called college preparatory math within our high school. The students don't like it, the teachers don't like it, and it doesn't prepare anybody for college. And so we have these curriculum that just simply are not working, and they need to be adopted in a different manner. They need to either be removed or they need to be implemented differently. And so we have college preparatory math, which is kind of like that next evolution.
How does that? So again, I'm going to just go back to like how does stuff work?
Yeah.
Like, so how does a course like that, which in your opinion is not effective, so how did that get into the curriculum in the first place? Who put that in there?
Yeah, because that's not a school board thing.
That's so sort of. School boards, one of their key responsibilities is implementing curriculum,
Okay.
or deciding curriculum, and then how it's actually implemented and is in the classroom and the teacher's responsibilities. The state of Ohio produces requirements. They don't say, this is the exact things that you have to do. They say, here are the requirements that we have. You have to be educated on this, and you're going to be tested on this. And so you basically kind of have to choose curriculum that go within those confines of those. And so you have options, but you really don't as a school board. And so take, for instance, right now, I think it's going to be a struggle if we wanted to bring phonics back into our schools, because as it currently stands, phonics is not an opportunity that is considered approved by the state of Ohio with those requirements. And so it's very interesting. The school board does have a large play into that, but they're also confined by what the state's going to allow them to do. Because at the end of the day, if the state's unhappy with you, they will take corrective action.
So that's that was created by the state, and is it voted in by the board, or? Well, that piece of curriculum.
They adopt the curriculum. So there's a curriculum committee. They kind of refine it there. And then curriculums are voted in by the board. But once again, it's voted in by their options that are given to them, really.
Yeah,
Okay.
there's a committee that goes over, what you're given.
Yeah.
I'll say for us, we have a curriculum director. She wears 3 different hats. So, you look at what roles are you missing. We're missing like 8 admin roles. That's life. Okay?
Yeah.
But
Is that because there's lack of people that want to conduct those roles because of the time and lack of pay that's associated with them? Or is it because you guys haven't redone your levy in 15 years and you just didn't have the budget for it?
don't have the budget. So,
Gotcha.
you got people like, again, we're operating on 2011 money. So go back to our paychecks 2011.
Right. Well, because I just kind of got a class on levies, I think was last week when we had Justin on. And essentially, for those that are listening, if I set up a levy to operate the school system on $500,000 for the next 5 years, even if there's a 30% hike in property taxes, I cannot apply any additional money to that levy, right?
Not that levy. No.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's it. I would have to run. So if because of that property tax, we also had another 500 students come to our school,
Mm-hmm.
I would have to run another levy in order to get an additional budget for operating expenses above what I had at that 500.
Yeah, those 500 new students will depreciate what you pay today,
Correct.
but it will not add a cent to the bottom
Right.
line.
So I have to be able to facilitate the education for those 500 new students with the same money I did for 500 less students, unless I run a new levy or something. So the growth that Highland has seen, the success that Highland's seen over the last 14 years, why is that you guys haven't ran a new levy? Is it because you chose not to? Was it because the town didn't want to? Or was it because you guys were able to get by? Where did that lead to?
So 15 years ago, we were told during the first campaign for the most recent levy, do not come to us for more money unless you need it. And again, we've seen a whole cycle of students, K through 12, go through without a levy conversation to their parents and other constituents in the community that don't have kids. So when you don't have that conversation going on, I tell people recently, well, what you just asked me, why don't you have one on more like iterative, just step by step? And I say, we were told not to. Do your job. And I think we felt back in this recent May when it failed, well, we did our job. We're 19th in the state. And I think, I won't say we failed, but I think you need to have more communication. I mean, if you go upstairs and you talk to your wife once a week,
Yeah.
you might have a bad week.
Right.
So let's be more let's talk a little more. Let's share some of the secrets and share the numbers and talk about what could be coming, that long-term plan.
Right.
We knew it, but we were told to leave you alone.
Well, and I mean, that's the thing too. And we had this discussion before. Like, obviously, everybody hates when their taxes go up. Everybody hates when, you know, they're giving money to a school or and not seeing success. For instance, Medina passed a levy last year with depreciating figures over the course of the last 10 years, education-wise, right? So as a local person, I'm like, where's that money going if we haven't done this or we haven't done this? Here's Highland, who hasn't had a levy in 15 years, and they are exceedingly just destroying us educational-wise, scholastically, and sports-wise right now. So why are they doing it better? Who is not seeing that money right through correctly, and who's not being held accountable? Now, in the same sense, if you're Highland and you're coming to the students or the people and saying, "Hey, look, we have to run a levy. Here's why." I would say the reason levies don't fail is because there's no transparency leading up to them. And I don't mean that intentionally. I just mean right now we're having this huge discussion about levies.
Right.
If I bet you 50% of the population had no idea about any of this because we just think of it as a levy means more money out of our pockets.
We started talking about it. So we have a policy on the books. We need 120 months. Is it 120 months? Or I forget. It's like it's a span of time where we don't want to be below a certain dollar amount. That was put on by ourselves. We were going to reach that point this December. So next 2 months from now.
Right.
So we wanted to be, okay, we ran right to the edge and we're going to put a levy on. And in January of 26, the new levy that failed would have picked up that new money.
Right.
So we're jumping from rock to rock.
Right.
Hoping that we can share a story that reciprocates to the public and helps us make that next leap.
Yeah.
We started talking about the levy publicly in January or February, and it was on the ballot in May. Now, ballots or campaigns take money.
Yeah.
Can't spend school money, got to run a campaign. So we had about $12,000 earmarked for that campaign. Typical good campaign is $50,000. And to be back on right now in November, next month, we can't do it because we didn't have enough time to fundraise and we don't have answers from the state. So, why did we wait? What was the situation? It's just more transparency is needed.
So I look at it a couple ways. One, when you guys talk about campaign, and I'm one of those people that I don't believe politics should have campaign money. I feel like there's enough capability out there right now that you could run your campaign digitally without spending $1 and still get reach.
This isn't campaigning for an election. This is
campaigning
this is for the levy itself.
I get
right?
that, right? But
yeah,
before campaign dollars were a thing, in old school, people might be like, "Hey, look, the football game's going to be this Saturday. We're going to have 2,500 people there. Let's take 5 minutes before the game and explain the levy."
Right.
Or a school, whatever the case might be. Like, there's opportunities to do that where cost doesn't have to be associated. Because why would I want to spend $12,000 of the school's education to get more money to pass it? Now, I know that's necessary right now, but to me, I feel like there's a lack in politics of people trying to get creative in the way that they get information out there in order to do it free.
Well, when 12 years ago, I sent out flyers. I wrote articles to the newspaper.
Mm-hmm.
I can give you my website, but it's all videos. It's all content. It's all articles. All I do, I send 100 text messages a day to people. Don't forget to vote. Here's where to go vote. Go early. Do this. Here's my website. Here's a video about passion. You're right. It's all about using the internets or interwebs, if you want to go, and have a little fun, man. Let's get futuristic. So we have a PR firm that helps us do that campaign for the levy. We've actually throttled that down and done more of our own work.
Yeah.
And I think there's opportunity for that. There's some phone banking stuff and things that you're going to have to pay for. So 50 G's might be a little high.
Yeah.
But I think you can pare it down and be successful.
Well, and the other thing too is, I think in today's day and age, we just talked about it, right? A random morning trip to go get a bassinet from Craig or from Facebook Marketplace leads to me meeting somebody who's 500,000 followers. I guarantee you the Highland School District has multiple people with a following, or they're big in sports, or they're big in the community.
Right.
So to me, it's like, hey, let's reach out to them. Let's campaign together. Let's get 100 people that are on board with this. Let's make sure we're all spreading the same message that this is why, this is what led to this scenario. And let's get that word out there. It's great that you're doing some ground root stuff, text and stuff like
Yeah.
that. But I can imagine that if as a parent, if I was in Highland School District and we had this conversation,
Yeah.
I would vote for the levy tomorrow.
Because it makes sense.
Right.
Yeah. And I think we took it we took it for granted because we talk about it all the time internally. But when you don't share that passion or that idea to the external and you expect them to have the same, amount of, it doesn't happen
Right.
because we haven't talked about it. It's like, 10 of the football players know the play. You bring in the 11th guy, you're like, go do something.
Yeah.
He's lost.
Yeah.
So you got to be fair. I think, it failed. It didn't fail by a huge number, but it was enough. And I think our job is to be more open about it, be more explanatory, not 3 months.
Right. Now, Aidan, on your point of view, for Medina, obviously, it failed last year and then it passed most recent. I think it literally passed by one vote, if I'm not mistaken. It was like the smallest margin I thought possible.
I think they ran it twice, and then the third time it passed out of like 7,000 votes cast. It passed in favor by like 100 votes.
It was really tight. Super tight.
People are just, for various reasons, they think that their property taxes are too high. It's about 65-70% of the property taxes here in Medina go to the schools. And so they were kind of taking up that opportunity. And so, people were unhappy. And I think the reason why it passed that time is there were severe threats from the board and from the superintendent saying that if you do not pass this, you are going to lose busing. You are going to lose the affordability to play in sports. You're going to lose small classroom sizes. And they really held the voter sabotage or hostage in this matter. And so it was very interesting. It barely passed. I don't know if it would pass if it happened today, especially with our recent state report card that came out.
Well, I was going to say a couple of things, right? One, it passed. Two, right after that, we get a 25% tax hike. Like it was like a double-edged sword. Like, wow, did they know that was coming? Obviously, everybody kind of knows every 3 years the county's going to go and do their reflash of your property taxes. First time I had them walking through my yard checking my structures. That was interesting. Like I was like, wow, I don't remember you guys ever coming out before, but you must really want to find every dollar. And then obviously the levy, the tax hike, and then you said the report card comes out on the school system. And where do we fall this year?
We had, they gave us a total of, I think, 4 or 4 out of 5 stars. But once again, we had 3 out of 5 stars on literacy and college workforce and military readiness. And so,
And what is military readiness as a high school rating? Is that like the overall health of the high school, or is it
more so if individuals are going into the military? It's just,
Gotcha.
Are they going to be unemployed or doing nothing afterwards? Right. I mean, there's a science that goes into it. It's a new metric that they're doing.
Okay.
And the board members have responded to this unhappy with the fact that they got a 3 out of 5, of course. It's a 60%. They were unhappy with that because after 2 years, a lot of students go to the Career Center. And when they go to the Career Center, those people who are individuals who are going into the trades, well, then they're not being counted towards our numbers for the military, college, and workforce readiness. But the problem is that even if a student doesn't go to the Career Center, they still need to be set forth and prepared for aspects of life. I wanted to go to law school, but the only thing close enough to it at the Career Center was criminal justice. I'm trying to study law and not trying to enforce it. And so, for that, it wasn't there. So a lot of students, that is an avenue. The Career Center is an amazing avenue for students to take, but we also need to make sure if they're not going to that avenue, they're still prepared to do something after high school. And so, it's very interesting. These metrics came out. Everybody got their report card. And I think we should bring attention to these, see how we can achieve greater scores on these. But it's just, I don't think we should be sweeping these numbers out of the rug either.
So let's talk about what you guys are specifically running for, right? Because when you guys run, we talked about it, there's principles that you guys are running behind that if people are voting for you, they stand behind those, right? So Aidan, let's start with you because you're the new guy, 19 years old. You say, I'm going to run for school board. This is what is important to me. And then what led to those being, your principles? Yeah,
I have 3 core policies that I'm currently running on. The first one is financial responsibility through financial transparency. I think if we can make it easier for the average person to understand our district's financials and how they're affecting them as an individual, I think they can hold us accountable better. I think we should have more individuals speaking out at school board meetings about our finances, about everything. I think that would be a great way to hold us accountable individually and on the school board and the school as a whole. The second one is stronger civic education. I think every single student in our school district, especially with the 250 coming up, the semi-quincentennial, of the United States coming up, I think every single student should read and understand the Articles of Confederation, the Declaration of Independence, the Constitution, the Bill of Rights, these things that make our country. I think our students need to be well versed in these matters so that they could be an active participant in the civics process. And so, how we can do that both inside and outside of the classroom, I think, is very important. And last one is age appropriate curriculum, like I kind of touched on earlier. I think our kids should be able to read. I think our kids should have math that enables them for their age level. And so I think that's extremely important. And those are the three things that are leading up to me. And the reason why I started these was I'm 19. I'm going to college. I'm going to law school. And I hope that I'm successful with that endeavor. And lawyers do tend to make a lot of money, but that's not why I'm doing it. I want to make sure that I can at least afford a house in this district. I think if we can all hold each other accountable with our finances of the school district, we can make sure that we're giving our school district enough money, but not too much, to where they're spending it in excess. If we can do that, I think that we can make it easier for the average person to move into this district, because I want to move in. I want to have more individuals who have the same love and passion for the United States, for local government, for the city of Medina, for history. I think I want to create a bunch of history nerds. And so I think it's super important to me. Like, I think I participate with something that's called Spirits of the Past. It's run by the Arts Council and the Historical Society. And it talks about historical figures of Medina. I think children should know that it was Austin Badger who cut down all the trees of the Medina Square. I think children should know, why the Phoenix Bank is there, who it was. I think just children should be able to see a name on the building on the square and say, oh, that's the story that is there. I think if you can understand your community, you have a better love and appreciation, and you're more likely to stay there. And then the last one is I just, once again, having gone through the system myself, the math just isn't working well. Language arts, I learned more English composition and grammar in Latin class than I did in English classes. And so, which is a virtue of Latin, but it's a vice of our current English classes. And so that's kind of, with that experience, I saw how these curriculums are being implemented. And so that's a big reason why I wanted those three. And so it's just, I'm trying to create a community that I can purchase a house, that I can start a family, that I can put my kids through the school system and be confident in those.
And Chris, go ahead. You got something, David?
Yeah, I was just going to ask Aidan, why do you think people today, and especially the youth, why do you think they've lost interest in civics? And I say that, I could say that with like a howitzer-sized weapon, because most people I talk to, our age group and beyond, to me it's shocking. Obviously, I'm a poli-sci nerd, so I understand civics, better than the average person, but people don't know shit about civics, to put it bluntly. But why do you think people lost interest in it?
I don't know if people lost interest. I don't know how excited I was about it in like 8th grade, 9th grade, learning history together.
So from Will's class and on, why did people lose interest in civics?
Well, I think it's first of all, national politics started to become a very big issue in local politics. And so as it currently stands, a lot of national issues are coming down and trickling down to the school system. And so people kind of just got fed up with national politics, and they decided, we're going to throw the baby out with the bathwater. I don't care about local politics as well. Perhaps also it's been a lot more difficult to get involved in the civics process. There's no longer a lot of political groups are kind of less active than they used to be. It used to, way back then when I wasn't around, and probably when my parents weren't around, like people would like gather around the radio and listen to broadcasts about things going on in the nation. They were involved. They would go to courtrooms to get their entertainment. They were just more involved in the whole process as a whole. And so I really can't pinpoint any one particular thing, but I think it's perhaps our failure to educate our citizens on the civics process through high school, through middle school, through elementary school, and from that. I think when we stopped educating them adequately about what our rights are, what our government's responsibility is not, when we stopped educating them on that, they stopped becoming equipped to be involved, and accordingly didn't get involved.
Do you think, and we can put on the tinfoil hats a little bit here, but do you think that there's been curriculum over the years that has steered people away from it? Rewind back to, my childhood. Yes, they had indoor plumbing and electricity. Thank you. But, there were cartoons that would talk about how bills were passed, for instance. I don't know if that still plays or not.
I'm just a bill on Capitol Hill.
Yeah. That was pretty good. See if we had a producer, they could pull that video up right now. We could enjoy that. But yeah, so I have no, I don't watch television. I don't have children, so I don't know what's on television nowadays. But I mean, there was a lot more early education that made people curious. I mean, I grew up in Los Angeles and drove my parents freaking bonkers. It's like, can we go to Washington D.C.? And it's like, son, do you realize, that's, by wagon, that's a 3-week trip, right?
I'm taking that train ride. Yeah,
You might die from dysentery first.
Right. Across the
Sorry, that's for the old guys.
No, yeah, we can cue to Oregon Trail video game now too with that one.
Now that I know something about. Yeah,
but we're coming back to this side of the country. But yeah, no, I don't know. What do you guys think? Do you guys think that curriculum has been changed? Like most people that I ask this question to, younger people, it's just kind of a brain numbing thing. Well, I just don't understand, exactly how it all works. Like most people can't explain to me the difference between a member of the Senate and a member of the House. And they say, well, isn't one Congress? I was like, well, okay. Like, all right, what's your favorite color? Yeah. Like, we tend to go to that. So what do you guys think that there's been something curriculum based that's changed that?
I mean, you got to,
I don't know if I would say if it's anything nefarious with regards to that. I think just we are putting a lot on teachers to teach. We have a state test at the end of the day, and they have to, a lot of our metrics are coming from these state tests. And so they're trying to make sure we teach every single aspect of what's on that test. And so if we're kind of skipping over other Federalist papers besides Fed 10, we are losing a lot of that. So it's kind of become the culture of learning to test, I think is a part of that. I also just don't know. I don't know if history and civics teachers are equipped with enough knowledge to understand that. I think we've seen like a lot of evidence of this today is like if you were to ask your average high schooler, if the government were to repeal the First Amendment, would you still have the right to free speech? And if you ask that, or the same thing with the right to bear arms, and if you ask them, most of them will say, well, probably not. No, that is not, the government does not give you that right. They are just simply declaring that right. The Ninth Amendment says any rights that are not explicitly enumerated to you, but are still out there, it's making sure it's kind of the catch-all, if you will.
Right.
It still protects that. And so I think it's just, I don't know if teachers through either the curriculum or their own interest are kind of equipped with that knowledge to teach American history like that in civics. And so it's just, but I think the biggest thing is going back to that, just teaching the test. I think maybe that's the biggest culprit right there.
Well, just to add on that too, I think there are a couple of things that you mentioned. I think kids are interested civilly. I just think they're interested for the wrong reasons right now. Right now, it's social media, and that goes back into what I think changed about the curriculum. You have to remember especially 2020, but it was already going that way. It was like a digital learning system, right? Instead of you bringing home that really nerdy book back with like 8 books in it to read your chapter into science, it started to go to Chromebooks. That was probably that's probably 12 years ago that started, maybe even longer. And then it got excelled by COVID because then kids were learning from home. So I think then curriculum then became just learn what's on the test through a digital environment, which is not nearly as engaging. And then it's here, take the test versus you and I sitting in class and talking, right? And having that open dialogue and a teacher teaching from the aspect of instead of just touching what's on the desk. This is something my daughter always gets frustrated with learning about World War II and things like that is putting it into something that they can understand on a day-to-day basis, right? We don't do that. It doesn't happen. Yeah. Like, I asked my daughter, I was like, hey, has your teacher ever like stood up and been like, okay, Russia, America over here, Germany over here, Japan over here, and like explained like what an ally is? And no, not really. We just read it in a book and then we take a test on it. Well, yeah, some people are extremely smart and can capture that. You seem like the kind of guy who can read a book and get a pretty good understanding of how it works and recite it repeatedly afterward. Me, I was a guy who didn't take a book home for 3 years of high school. I graduated the 2.0, but that's because I passed like a 90% or above on all my tests because I could have a conversation and retain information, but I was never going to go home and sit there and read the book for 2 hours and do a study guide. No. And I think when you start going to a digital environment and then you capitalize on that even more by saying, hey, kids, you don't have to talk to your friends at school. You can just go sit on your phone in the corner during elementary. And now I almost think that the school system realized that was a big part of the portion because we can talk about this and we can do it now or we could translate into it or transition into it later. But now school boards are trying, or I don't know if it's the school board, the state are trying to pass laws where the kids can't have their school all day.
Well,
or have their phone all day. I'm sorry.
So that's a perfect comment. I want to go into an AI comment.
Okay.
The Hinckley Women's Club had a candidates night a month and a half ago. And it was more geared towards the Hinckley trustees. It wasn't so much the school board members. But we did get one question, and it was about AI from a reporter. And I know the reporter. She went to high school with my dad, so small town. But it was all about, what do you think about the AI in the classroom? And my opponent was like, well, it's horrible, and we can't do this, and it's like the internet, it'll ruin the world. And my point is, I work for Oracle, project manage. One phone call to the next. And how do you capture what we all just talked about, action items and things like that? So this AI stuff, where, oh, it's dangerous, it can do this. If everything's dangerous, how do you use it?
Right.
How do you teach your kids to function? How do you teach adults to use this stuff? So I use it on a day-to-day basis to capture all my notes, and then we give it right back to all the participants, and you know exactly what's happening. You understand it. So I think if we look at, the Chromebooks, you had 300 books in your bag, and now you have a Chromebook. It comes down to, how do you use the tool? And that's with anything. So I went on to say, our teachers need more time to spend with our students physically than opposed to grading tests, writing curriculum, writing work plans for the week, doing things like that. And I sort of got attacked because you want to take the human out of the classroom? No, I want more human in the classroom.
Right.
That when we grew up, it was literally all human interaction. There wasn't go out in the hallway or do this or do that or go to the computer lab. There were no computer labs. We had one computer in high school, was for the yearbook. It was probably a Mac.
The original Mac.
The original, yeah.
The one. Mac 1.
Yes. So I think, if you talk about culture, I'll make it a little older in here. You look at JFK or Martin Luther King. My focus, and I bring those two people up because, my mom will tell me, I know where I was at when JFK was shot. Cool. I'll keep the foil hat off right now. But, the more you learn about people like that and the situations that were surrounding them, like, why were they such a figure in life? So we'll keep the politics out of it, keep the tin hat. We can go on that for 2 hours. But once you find out about these people and what was happening, when Charlie got shot, I was done. Like, locally, there's a 80 square mile box around me right now that's Highland. I don't care about much outside of that. I hope you guys do well. I'm here to support you. But, my family, end of my driveway, my district, I can't impact DC like you wanted to go to DC when you were a kid.
Yeah.
I can't do anything.
Right.
It doesn't matter. So how do you build these kids to get passionate about civics? You teach them how it impacts them locally.
Yeah. Agreed.
That's where I'm personally at. 51 years old. I just don't care anymore. I've seen how many presidents, how many liars, how many campaigns go south, how many promises made because it is election season. I just don't care. I want our kids to do well. And, we're done, dude. We're cooked.
Yeah.
Like, our success, we'll have more success in life.
Yeah.
But 51 years old, like, I'm not going to get on a new horse. if my buddy John, who's running for the school board with me, along with Missy Schreiner, she's on with me right now. John's in your shoes. He's trying to get on for the first time, Highland alum. But he goes, yeah, I hope I die on the board. There's my goals, dude.
All right, dude. All right.
I mean, is there like a award or something, a ceremonial burial or something like died on the board?
Face north,
Yeah.
But the one seat that's open, if you want to talk about seats, 4 people running for 3 spots. Mr. Kelly has been on 26 years. He's retiring after that long of service. He's been in Granger trustee. He's been a board member at the county level. He's been a school board member for 26 years.
Wow.
Turns 80 this year. He is the epitome of give back. He was the owner of Bill Jack Dog Food.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh.
That's awesome.
So dying in office, he will not die. Thank God. Great guy. But to John's point, this is all we're doing, dude.
Yeah.
I don't have any other aspirations, unlike some people who are running against me, who you may know. It's clear when what you're doing is for the community.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
Now, Aidan, from your point of view, you were that kid going through that transition for schools as far as you were the tech guys, right? Like, you were the tech class. I mean, when did it start? Do you remember the first time you were handed a computer instead of a textbook?
Well, I went to elementary school in Kenton County, Kentucky, and so I remember the first time I was on a computer, I accidentally stuck a magnet to the screen.
What?
Whoops.
You didn't believe it was true? Like, everyone's like, don't touch near magnet. He's like, I got to see if this is...
I don't even know why I did it. I just same thing. I think I did it with like an educational cassette as well. I just don't give me magnets.
Ironically, I'm also that guy where I see the sign that says "Do not push this button."
I'm like,
I
what
am
can
100% that guy who pushes that.
I
button.
always
Like,
wanted to hold the magnet up. I'm kind of disappointed now that I didn't.
I think I just destroyed the monitor. But yeah, so we were taught on like Windows XP or like Windows 7 computers, and then moving here, we didn't have Chromebooks for a while. My 6th grade or 7th grade health class, we had the MacBooks in there, and then eventually, like once COVID hit, we all had Chromebooks. Like they went from being a part of the classroom to the classroom,
Right.
And so it was very interesting. And I'll be completely honest with you, I, as well as almost every single member of the class, every single student, we weren't paying attention. We were playing coolmathgames.com. We were playing chess.com. We were not paying attention. These are distractions. And it was very interesting because, in elementary school, my parents would see what I came home with. They saw what I was being taught, the books I was reading. Okay. Now you really, as a parent, can't do that. You have to go behind several passwords. You have to sign into the computer. You have to, know where to navigate for these softwares. You have to know which softwares to navigate to. And so it makes it very difficult for the average parent to know what's going on with their kids' education, especially when it comes to like math or what have you, or just whatever it may be.
Well, even to help or anything like that. You just be like, this is what I'm trying to look, and you pull your book over or whatever and flip through it. And it's like that thing's gone. Like the kitchen tables.
Where's your assignments at? Where's your stream?
Yeah. And so like for me, like it really took over the entire thing, and it made it difficult to pay attention in the classroom. And so whereas like certain classes like Latin was just explicitly on paper, there was nothing besides quizzes that could be done besides on paper. It was on paper. And then some classes would just be all computers. And I'm of a firm belief, we tried it, we invested money into it, but these computers are becoming a distraction. I think we need to go back to paper. We need to go back to a whiteboard. It works. You need to be handwriting. I think we need to teach our kids cursive. We need to go back to things that work. We tried this experiment. I just don't think it's working with this technology. And so, I understand making sure students know how to use a computer is very important. Students know how to, have some rudimentary understanding of coding, how to use docs, what have you. We need to prepare them in that aspect. But to use that as a totality, I think is becoming a detriment to our current education system.
Let me challenge and also compliment you at the same time here in that. So, because I agree with everything you're saying, but at the same time, I assume you did well with your grades and everything. So you're also a product of everything that you just criticized, let's say. So it worked for you.
I had okay grades. I think I had like a 3.2 or so in high school. And so I had okay grades. But I definitely think I could have excelled better if I wasn't so distracted in the classroom. That's
by
totally
electronics in particular.
Yeah. And so like I didn't have a phone until I got into to high school, and it wasn't even the phone that was the problem, because the teachers would be very anti-phone. But when you're, the world's still your oyster on your Chromebook, you can play these games or what have you during class. It still distracts you. And so, you still see these success stories. I did okay getting out of high school.
You think you would have done better?
I could have done much better. I think I could have gotten perhaps better scholarships, better academic success if I wasn't self-distracting myself on a computer. But it was difficult because there was no alternative. I couldn't ask the teacher, could I have an online textbook? Could I do in accounting class, we did some paper accounting, but most of it was online. I couldn't simply ask, could I have an online or a paper accounting test? And so like when the classroom becomes a totality of online, it's just, you don't have that opportunity anymore to remove yourself from that distraction.
Well, and it's hard too, because now you look at most organizations business wise, after school, most of these kids are going to have to absolutely know how to function on a computer day to day, or even from a work from home environment.
Right.
I mean, I can tell you right now, I've been work from home 70% for the last 4 years. Now it's 100%. Yeah. And I get distracted easily.
I think it's knowing your tool,
it is, but so like I look at it though, and the reason I bring that up is
discipline is a big thing.
When you guys talk about losing kids in the school system, right? Your kids are leaving the school. Where are they going? Different schools, all these. I think a lot of them are going to homeschool because that environment that computer created. All of a sudden they go back to school and they have issues like anxiety of being around a bunch of people, or they don't have any friends because all their friends are on cell phones and nobody talks and they're not cool, or they don't have Snapchat because their parents won't let them. Or
can I talk a little bit about that?
Well, real quick. And then they have anxiety, and then it's like, hey, you know what? I just want to go home and I'll do all my work in 2 hours on the computer, and then I'll have the whole rest of the day to myself. I can go to work and stuff like that. And I feel like that's that's something that's happened because of this software technology or the computer and electronic technology. Now go ahead and touch it.
Yeah. So when COVID happened, it was ugly. And my oldest, who's now a senior, was in 6th grade. And I literally remember him coming home crying because of no interaction with other kids. So that happened in March of 2020. And I remember the day because it was the 13th was the day they announced that the next day everything shut down, the 14th. I run a lot of trail races, a lot of ultra marathons. I had 100K that day. And we said, screw it, we're still going to do it. We had no aid, no nothing. We did it. But then remember coming back after that in the next 2 months, we were all remote. Everybody was at home. So then we as a school and with the administrators, we spent the whole summer. How do we get these kids back in the fall? And I'll toot our horn a little bit. We did a split schedule. So all the kids were in school physically. We did something called the Swiss cheese layer methodology, where a little bit at home, a little bit at school, personal interaction, some of it online. We have a pretty good ratio of online to like in class, and we do teach cursive still. It was the ability to get the kids back into school in the fall, and this I made a comment before about taking care of all entities of the community. There were people that wanted nothing to do with physical interaction. And there was people who basically wanted to, kiss somebody, like all avenues of just up close and personal, get away from me. As a school board, you have to entertain all desires. You're responsible for every person in your community. So you can try to get partisan, but it's going to cost you. So we went ahead and we made everybody comfortable. We made online full learning. We made part-time. We made people in school. So I think if you talk about the experience, you have to also take into consideration your teachers and other administrators. How can we do this the best? And I think we pulled away from that, not falling behind the curve too much and making the kids suffer, because the anxiety is the biggest problem for these kids.
Yeah.
And getting, I didn't have my first cell phone until I was 28. So I was cool, not in school. But like, I will still harp on the fact that when you get these tools, you've got to have the self-discipline to know how to use them. Dude, I work from home too. I get it.
Yeah.
Oh, squirrel.
Yeah.
What was that interesting ad? 10 minutes later, I'm like, oh my God, get off this thing.
Yeah.
But we're all going to deal with the electronics. Any more that I go anywhere, I tap my phone for everything. Pay. Could you imagine that conversation 20 years ago?
Right.
Like, where's George Jetson? Like, is this going to pop out somewhere? I mean,
I got a robot upstairs.
Yeah, Rosie's making me food. But like,
should have called her Rosie. Damn. Ours is Roberta.
That's cool. Different cultures. But
I'm so happy to be divorced. Oh, you're not talking about your wives. My bad. Go on.
All good, man. I just think it's super important to be aware of the tool sets you have and be self-disciplined.
Sure.
That's top line.
What sort of things? There's a couple things you guys touched on, like obviously COVID. We're going to be living with the aftermath of COVID forever for our lives, of course, right? What are some of the things that I've got some interesting questions on topic, and I guess just for some flavor here, but what are some of the things that a school board is looking at in terms of either curriculum or maybe it's student advocacy or student care for things like COVID? So I guess specifically junior high school and high school would be those that are entering were through COVID in elementary school, right? So they're becoming teenagers, they're young adults. Mm-hmm. They've got hormones, they've got impulses, they've got things like that. What's that look like in school, and what's the school board monitoring in that regard?
Well, I think it comes down to what you just said, advocacy. I got invited to do a leadership speech on the 7th of November for our middle school leadership group. And they have 4, like, breakdown of 4 different words, like main topics. But it comes down to advocacy, whether it's you, whether it's us, whether it's your family, even a neighbor. You will never find a better cheerleader for anybody but yourself for your own success. Teachers care. Administration cares. Your parents care. Your neighbors might care too. But until you fit, and I failed at this. I worked at First Energy for 18 years, and then I was the old guy with a pension in March. See ya. Have a nice day.
Right.
So found a great job at Oracle. It's going well. But my downfall was I trusted the company, and I hope they do well. It's fine. No animosity. But I trusted the company to carry me and take care of me. Bad choice there, Chris. So I think if you're going to be successful in something, you need to count on others, but you need to trust in yourself first. So when I talk to these kids, and to your question about the middle school, they did come out of that elementary COVID experience. They don't, they're a little sheltered. They're a little concerned. I will say I've seen a lot of our kids that bounces right off them. I have a sixth grader. He's 11 years old. My first grader was just born in 19, so he didn't really catch any of this stuff. But my sixth grader, they're pretty much back at normal. They for a couple years after that, did you wash your hands? Did you use Purell? don't touch me, dude. That happened, but I think it died out. I mean, Aidan, I don't know what you experienced because you were on the tail end of that. You got to live through some of that. But what was it like during school and then now after school? Does that stuff don't go not politically, but just like situationally?
Yeah, it was super weird. I remember there were several times where we had that like staggered schedule.
Yeah.
First of all, there was no busing whatsoever for us, and so as high schoolers, my parents worked. I didn't really have that opportunity to go there, so I had a bike or carpool to school, and it was very difficult to arrange both of those because I lived about 4 or 5 miles or 4 or so miles away from this high school. A lot of it's uphill terrain, on major thoroughfares. And so it's very interesting. We had these staggered days, but there would be situations where like one person near me, all the desks were 6 feet apart, but somehow one person near me would get allegedly sick and I would be quarantined. Mm-hmm. And so I was like, what? That's an interesting cat to skin right there. But yeah, so we had situations like that. And it was just another thing that was the advent was a big thing with lanyards. We were forced to wear these lanyards to show that we were not like terrorists or something. I don't know. And it was a very interesting situation because if you forgot your lanyard, you were getting yelled at. We had teachers with cowbells, ringing cowbells in people's ears saying, wear your lanyards. Like it was like, bring out your dead, bring out your dead.
The lanyards were like your student IDs?
Yeah.
Or
we had to wear those, which was kind of an advent of that because people were wearing their face mask all the time.
For identification.
Yes.
Gotcha. Okay.
And so it was very interesting. And
it was a big deal. I had to take my daughters up to the school like 3 times because she'd forget it. It was like the biggest deal throughout the day.
Yeah, and they like charged like $10 just so to replace it. It was really something.
What a racket!
Yeah, I wish I can get a piece of that money there. But yeah, it was very interesting. We had situations like that. Clubs got really interesting. We were meeting online. I remember it was weird. We were trying to do clubs. We still had to be 6 feet apart. When we kind of came back. That staggered schedule is kind of weird because sometimes you have to go in for clubs when you weren't actually there for school. And it was a really weird situation. I really feel bad for individuals who are starting off their education during COVID. Because obviously as middle schoolers going into high school, we were like, 2 weeks of vacation. Awesome. No. But like people who are trying to go in preschool, kindergarten, first grade, learning those basics of education, trying to do that online is just horrifying. And so it's very interesting what we lived through. I see newsreels of those time periods and I'm like, did I live through that?
Right.
I'm almost in disbelief because even though, yes, I know for a fact I lived through these times, I was like, it just seems so surreal, so dystopian. And so it was interesting to see how our schools reacted to that. And I know there was one time period, where there was the time period between when the state law mandated that masks were no longer required, and I believe that was my freshman year or so. So 2021, that spring of 2021, I believe that's when state law required no more forcing of masks, but you could wear it if you wanted to. And we had about 3 or 4 days left of school of that. And it was very interesting going into school because people would look at you weird. Why aren't you wearing your mask? And so it was a very weird culture that we were living in, but it was kind of just what we were put into. When school was canceled off in 2020, in March of 2020, most teachers just didn't teach. There was not much going on. I think my history teacher, which he was amazing. He really got students engaged. He still tried to continue teaching us about what we were learning about. But at the end of the day, it was just very difficult to try to learn when you're at home. You're trying to get new to the Chromebook thing. We had to go in to pick up all of our new Chromebooks, and so I feel bad for the people who are like in elementary school trying to learn the basics of learning and of life. online on a computer. I just don't think you can do it.
And it's all in the midst of, an international disaster too, right? So you're managing through, fear and anxiety of all of that.
I think back to the Challenger explosion. That was my 6th grade ordeal. They roll a TV out, and then it happens, and then they push you right back to class.
Yeah.
So talk about like 2 different worlds. Now, not the same impact, of course, long term, but I just remember like, oh yeah, something blew up. We went back to class. Now is that a Gen X thing? I don't know, but
we're definitely. I've said this a million times. We're definitely the just rub some dirt on it and get back in the game generation
all day.
Yeah.
So when you don't have that rub the dirt on it, and you're a school board member and you're responsible for thousands of people potentially, what is the approach you take? And I think we did a good job. We kept our kids in school. We tried to create policies where everybody was comfortable. I think as a leader, you have to. If you're not taking care of the whole flock, if you will, somebody's going to get hit in the end, and that's on you. We all have our own political aspirations, like I said before. I have certain things I believe, and I will make those wholeheartedly happen for my family. But I want to make sure, and this is not a campaign speech, but I want to make sure that every person has that freedom, if you will, where some of us may feel that their freedom is a little not free.
Right.
But you have to provide that level of clarity for each person. Where are we headed? What are we doing? And offer them the opportunity to take the shot that's best for them. No pun intended.
So I've got a couple of questions here specifically to what's going on kind of now.
Mm-hmm.
Let's go over the cell phone ban.
Yeah.
What are your guys' stances on that? Because you were on the board when that came through. Yeah. You were not. You were a student recently that had the ability to have a cell phone in school. So where do you guys stand on that?
We currently put our phones in a caddy. So if you walk into your teacher's classroom, goes in the caddy. Mm-hmm. I know the finalization of that new legislation,
like January, I think, right? Because that was state passed through the House and through our own state Congress, right?
Yeah, and the format that will be in January, any school, we were already in that format prior to the caddies. So, phones away, gone. It turned into a problem. So when I talk about making people's lives simplistic or allowing them to operate within the confines of what needs to happen, we just had a conversation at the school board level of, can we allow our current policy to supersede the state policy? So it's an open conversation because we would like to keep our phones in the caddies.
Yeah. Is that different than what the schools is? Is it like, because theirs is at the beginning of the day, you don't have it for the whole day, right?
The new one.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. It's gone for the day. And that just creates connecting with family, needing to leave early, you name it, safety if you want to go there.
How did we do it?
No water bottles, no phones, and we're alive.
Yeah. On the way over here, I was thirsty. I drank from your neighbor's garden hose out there. Just,
Did you swallow a spider?
No Stanley. No Stanley when I went to school. If it was one of those ugly thermoses that you stole from your dad's place.
Stanley was that guy
in it.
With a dent.
Stanley was the guy we used to beat up and throw in the trash can.
Stanley was the nerdy cooler that you brought to work when you had to eat leftover ravioli at school. And But what about you, Aidan? What's Medina doing now, and what do you see? What are your thoughts on it?
I'm kind of mixed back. Like there's like a certain things where I think that we need to make sure, state law is very explicit. The board policy is very explicit. I kind of feel like teachers is something that should be up, or teachers should have a say in whether or not they want phones in their classroom. One of my classes, my chemistry class, if you wanted to be counted for attendance, you put your phone up in a caddy. Another one of my classes was anatomy, and he was a little bit more relaxed and understood that, if you just let people use them in moderation, then it wouldn't affect the classroom. I feel like a teacher knows how a phone is going to affect their classroom. And so like, I don't typically have that mentality, but I feel like we should give some
autonomy.
Allow the teachers to understand that they know their classroom the best when it comes to these things. If you were to tell me like, just like curriculum or certain things like that, there's certain things that you standardize. This is not one of them. Another thing that is of concern to me is if a child's getting bullied or harassed, or there's an incident in the classroom that's happening, or if the teacher is becoming a problem, if the teacher is abusive, which is thankfully never really the case. But in case that happens, a child's ability to document that is very important. And so when you take away that opportunity, it's very interesting. Once again, I find almost any technology in the classroom to be distracting. And really takes away from the value of the education. But it's almost one of those things that teachers need to have the discretion as to whether or not they think it's going to affect their classroom negatively or positively. And then also students need to be able to have that opportunity to be connected with the outside world. And then also be able to, if unfortunately a situation were to arise, to document what is necessary.
I think I've got a couple questions on this that could be interesting. That
I just want to say how great it would be that on the way in here, I don't know how it came up in conversation, but David and I talked about note passing. And I would just
remember that. Yeah.
if you guys take away the schools and somehow somebody on a camera somewhere catches a kid passing one of those square notes where you fold in the triangle.
Do you
at the
think
end,
I'm cute? Yes or no?
I will be so happy. That will make my fucking day. Let me just say.
Well, if it's going to Winnie Cooper, you're good.
Yes.
There is just nothing better than good old fashioned distractive note passing, and then you get caught and had to read it in class.
Oh yeah. Oh man.
Go ahead.
You know, the phone thing and safety and security, I've got a million thoughts about this, but it's, and this is probably an oversimplification, but it's like, personally, I think they probably should have implemented, you know, like, okay, by the way, not a parent, not an educator here, right? But, you know, okay, Mr. and Miss parents, your child's in our school, they can have their phone. However, we have an app. And you have to have this app on the phone and it's active and that has some sort of firewall. So, okay, the only thing they can do is get messages from mom and dad and it's got to be of the 911 variety, not what do you want for fucking dinner tomorrow? Like it's got to be something relevant. That's my thought about it.
It's so hard because they've had that. These kids have had it for their whole lives. Right. You know, and we have a friend and he's a little chaotic, but he's like, you're not taking my son's phone away. If there's a shooting, I'm going to be the first one to be there. And I'm like,
you're going to be the second one shot.
Yeah. And you're also 30 minutes away. Like a whole lot's going to happen between then. Like to me, it was just like one of those things that people say because they, whatever. To me, I'm a proponent of them taking the cell phones away. I don't even want them to have it at lunch. I want you to be forced to sit at a table like we are right now,
talk to people
and have a conversation without, you know, picking up a cell phone.
So now going, we'll get a little nuclear in topics here for a little bit because along the lines of safety and security, school shootings on the up, obviously. And these people are the most vile and despicable people on the planet. And if there's a way for me to destroy them with my bare thumbs, I would destroy every single one of those persons. Personal opinion. But what are your individual feelings on just general school security? And do you think that, okay, so maybe teachers can have some autonomy for making some decision on whether their students should have phones? What do you guys feel about like arming teachers and or providing like additional security in schools?
We talk to our teachers about additional or, you know, arming themselves. Being a computer guy, we talk about, do you fight the virus inside the box or outside the box? You prefer to fight it outside. You don't want the animal in your house. You want the animal outside. So we elected to hire a resource officer for every campus of every day of the whole year.
And that resource officer's tied to the local department.
Correct. So Hinckley has their own police force. The rest of the schools do not because they're different townships. So we work with the Medina County Sheriff's Department to get the FTEs, the full-time employment of somebody who is an officer for 12 months. We pay for 9. So I drop my first grader off every day, pick them up too. And there's always an officer in the pickup line, out front, in the building, somewhere in that location when that's going on. So we chose, I talked about our new buildings a little bit ago. We built those in 2017, 2018. They are all off the road. They are down a hill. This is when Parkland happened, and they talked about, hardening buildings. There's things, unfortunately, I can't say here.
Of course,
but there's stuff baked into those buildings that would make dads super happy. Moms too, of course, but dads from the hoo-ha.
Yeah.
But it's just, you have to fight it outside the box. So the teachers, they're educators. I have my personal feelings, but I'm responsible for 400 staff members who may not share my personal feelings. So how do we make this work best for all? And I think we've implemented having a resource officer on each campus all the time. Now, that's something that we took and we paid for.
Well, I was going to say, how did that come about? Because typically that's something that would be passed in an operational levy.
Right. So we took that money that we had that we've been spreading thin and spread it thinner because it was such a priority for us for safety.
Yeah.
But the parents were like, I want somebody there now.
Yeah.
So we heard, we listened, we can do that. And we responded with that. Now that is, it's over $1 million a year to,
for all the schools.
yeah, the cars, the vests, the equipment, whatever we work
So
with.
you guys equip them, or you're just paying the?
It's
the
partial because of the way we work with the sheriff's office and the way some of the Hinckley cops already have their stuff.
Gotcha.
But it's about 1.1 million per year.
Wow.
And I don't say that as like, we pay for sports. I'm not threatening people. I would never.
No, of course not.
I
but
would never
it's-
say, "Hey, look at us, give us a gold star." No, this is about security. I talk about the board's responsibility being financial. My number one responsibility is to make sure your kid comes home.
Right.
That's bar none. I don't give a crap about anything else. So when we talk about the security, how the buildings were built and what was done, it's utmost important to get those families in a place of feeling calm, because there are vile pieces of crap out there that I would love to choke out.
Yeah.
But how do you stop it? And I think you protect it on the outside.
Aidan, for you, you went through the school security a little bit from being there, but what's your opinions and thoughts on that? And is there things that you see impacting or changing or wanting to change with Medina's own security protocols?
Yeah, I think it's extremely important that we have a good working relationship with our local and municipal police departments. We're fortunate in that all of the Medina City school systems is within one police department. Most townships near us are serviced by one police department. And so we're very thankful for those partnerships that we have there. I think if we can continue to maintain those partnerships, it's going to allow that security within our schools. They're also able to handle personal matters as well. They're not just a gun in a school. They're not just an officer in a school. They're also a part of the school system. And I've fortunately, every single school resource officer that I've ever had, both in middle school and high school, they're wonderful individuals. They're very kind. The students care about them. They care about the students. On the topic of arming teachers, I know you legally can do it. I know there's a couple of situations in Ohio that it's happened. I know that there hasn't been any accidental discharges or harms as a result of it. I'm not sure if I would take that route, though. It would be a very interesting situation. I'm open to the conversation. I just don't know if it's the best avenue right now. But if we were to do that, I think I would want to make sure they are at least complying with similar standards that, they should have the similar accuracy and safety training that a police officer should have. But at the end of the day, I don't know if it's the best option that is in front of us, but I'm still open to the conversation.
Yeah, I'm kind of on that same side, right? I like the idea that the fact that yes, a teacher could be, but here's the other thing. I also know, and we talked about this, right? I have the ability to carry a weapon wherever I want. I don't, because I know that there's going to be certain times where I'm not going to be able to give my undivided attention to the fact that I'm carrying a sidearm and I'm responsible for people around me.
Yeah, no, educators just don't.
And the last thing I want is the English professor to think he's doing the right thing, be carrying a gun, and take it out and set it on his desk for a second, not thinking anything of it, leave it at his desk, and then somebody picks it up later, because now I just brought a gun into the school that had no way of getting in there without the, you know what I mean? Yeah. Or God forbid, 3 students tackle him from behind, take it and create something. Right now, I've just brought 7 guns into the school that I didn't have to. So I think I agree with both of your guys' output on that aspect. And it's great that the local police departments are taking a part in that.
They're great.
And hopefully they're doing the adequate training associated with it. Sheriff Grice is my neighbor. I've actually talked to him a couple of times about some of the stuff that they do for the schools and their new camera system that came out. And hopefully you guys are okay on time. We got a few more minutes here.
You're good.
But I think it's more imperative that we have the correct training for the people that are supposed to be responding to those incidents, and then doing the additional things like the way we build the schools, the way that we, the way that we secure our schools with doors and locks and windows and alarms and things like that are more important than putting a gun in an English teacher's hand.
Teachers went to school to teach. Yeah. Police went to school to protect.
It's not their responsibility to. No. Right. I agree 100% on that. But it's definitely a national topic right now where it's people are scared.
Yeah.
I never had to worry about that. Right. I'm 43 years old. I didn't have to worry about a school shooting. I never heard of one happen while I was in school.
No.
I think Columbine happened. When did Columbine happen? 99. So it was my senior year. Yeah. I mean, I was worried about other things my senior year, obviously. And it wasn't social media. Otherwise, it probably would have been a different response to it as well.
Right.
But now this is things that gives kids anxiety going to school.
Yeah.
And it's insane to think that I remember fire drills.
Yeah.
Or bomb threat calls where you had to like go across the street into a big parking lot, and to hear the fact that they have to do school shooting drills is just sickening.
Right.
That we have to, and you guys as school board members, or potentially as a school board member in your case, Aidan, it's like that is something that falls under your jurisdiction.
So Aidan, day number one, let's say you're elected. What does day number one look like for you?
Yeah, well, so I have to work with two other individuals. There's 3 out of the 5 board members that are required to get something done. But I think day one, what I would like to see happen is to convince other board members to do a full audit of our financials. I'm not just talking like the state audit that satisfies state requirements. I'm talking a full in-depth analysis of our administration, of our salaries, our taxes, every single way that we're spending it. I want to make sure that, there's a lot of concerns that people have about, maybe there's too many high school principals. There's a lot of concerns people have. Well, why are there this many people working in this office? We need to look into that, see if it's the most financially responsible thing that we're doing, or if we need more people here. Can we shift people around? How can we be the most financially prudent and financially responsible with these matters? I'd also like to start working on more celebrations, but also stronger classroom activities for our 250th coming up. I want to make sure that before we send our kids home for the summer, that they have a fine understanding of what the Declaration of Independence was and was not, why it was there, what led up to that, what does it mean for them as a student. I want to make sure that we're sending home our students with that solid education. And so I can't exactly just change curriculum on that first day. I mean, curriculum happens in cycles, but what can we do? Programs, what can we do? Extracurriculars, what can we do to make our students more educated in those matters? I think it's going to be very important. I think between those two is the strongest one. But just trying to start more conversations too. I also want to start having quote unquote office hours. I think I'm going to find a local coffee shop that is willing to host it, and twice a month on a Saturday or so, or maybe one Saturday and a weekday, what have you. Just be there from 10 to 2 and say, if you have a concern or if you want to get something addressed, I'm here. Listen to, I'll listen to you. Let's get a bagel and some coffee and let's try to
something
figure
like
something out.
that does not exist now. I take it.
It's unlikely. I have an opponent of mine who is trying to do the same thing, and I think it's a wonderful opportunity. Obviously,
I mean, to me, it's like, why not get the whole board together? You guys could do it from an office, and you could just take. You could just go YouTube live.
You have the sunshine laws. I mean, there's
what is the sunshine laws?
Only 2 of you can gather outside together. Otherwise, you have to announce it as a meeting.
Right.
Oh, well, that's what I'm saying. Why not announce it as a meeting once a week where you guys go YouTube live with it and allow everybody in the township to field their questions? I mean, I think that's what more people want.
Let me say this. So, some people who are running for the position would like to have 3-hour bitch sessions.
Yeah, that's an issue.
One thing people need to know is the board meeting that's once a month is not a public debate area. It's a public viewing for the school's business.
Right.
And there's a period in there. I call, section 7. Anybody want to come up, any delegate or any individual want to come up and talk to the board. We can hear them. We can't really engage in debate back and forth.
Right.
We had a very nice DEI conversation 3 years ago that we were able to take off after that and then discuss deeper. But like 3-hour board meetings would be fruitless.
Yeah.
Ours are pretty short, 30 to 60 minutes. I give the credit to the staff, our superintendent, Mrs. Ackerman. She's amazing. How do you work all month long and get the details in and then be able to produce at that level without the people that you have in your office? We're short on so many positions. You talked about, who's in your office and what are you doing with a full audit. We're short. So I know who's doing what. And when they come back and they give us that time, I think that a lot of us that are on the board right now, we're so ingrained in the community. I probably had 25 conversations last night between the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame and a Halloween party that I went to pick up my 6th grader. We're connected. So we're having those conversations. I think your idea is great. I mean, talk. That's all we do is talk.
Right.
Because I want to hear from, like, if you were one of my dads, talk to me, dude.
Yeah.
Tell me what's going on.
Well, I think unfortunately, we live in a day and age where it's like mom and dad aren't home during the day. They're working, right?
Yeah, right.
And there is so much capability with the internet, the technology that we so much hate in our schools. should connect politics with their constituents more. Imagine, I don't know. Of course, unfortunately, anytime you do that, there's going to be the worst case scenario where people just blurt out stuff and say stuff that has no meaning to it, that's completely off base, and it's not beneficial or helpful to anybody that's involved in it, the conversation. But there's the mom who maybe she doesn't like talking in a public forum. Maybe she doesn't want to meet in a coffee shop, and she brings a great question up, and the 5 of you guys are there and address it. Outside, I get it. Like, if you have to call it a meeting and it's an hour once a week, that you guys can all attend virtually. Everybody can invite each other on a group call and allow people to sit there and, hey, let's discuss some things that are meeting, and then put some focus around it. You could even take questions ahead of time. So you could say, hey, these are the questions that came up the most this week. These are the questions that came up the most last week. I think inviting the community to take part in something like that, if you're willing to go sit in a coffee shop for 4 hours and there's another guy who's willing to do it as well, that's great. But that limits who you're able to talk to.
Well,
and reach.
I went to the Ridge and Rail restaurant down in Sharon. A buddy of mine, Brian, owns it. I went there in...
Great place, by the way.
Yeah, it's awesome. I went there in July and had literally a town hall. Let's talk about the levy.
Yeah.
And not for or against, but just educationally.
Yeah.
Like, how does this work?
How many people showed up?
6.
Yeah.
So I'm not hitting those people. Didn't work. Time didn't work. I think the bigger thing is...
It's a great idea, though.
It is, and I have more of them planned. I didn't want to do it during campaign because it looks cheesy, like I'm trying to run, get free time.
That's the problem with campaigning. It always looks cheesy.
Totally, I agree. We're cheese balls.
It just is what it is, right? Everything that comes out of your mouth is going to seem like a speech. Or
That's why I said
this
this isn't a campaign speech. But,
as long as you say that first.
Disclaimer.
It's like when you say with all due respect.
With all due respect, you suck.
Fuck you. But
Yeah.
I said it with all due respect.
But I think it comes down to hierarchy. Like that DEI conversation I mentioned, the family, they literally should have never come to the board meeting.
Right.
They should have started with the teacher, the principal, and the superintendent. So it's one of those civic lessons again. Where does this happen? I have a friend, they moved here a couple years ago from Texas, and she will always reach out. And I love it. Hey, what's going on with this? What's going on with that? And I'll take it to the right person. But it's when you supersede or jump over somebody's head where the problems come to be. So I think, again, it goes back to civics like you're talking about. It's understanding the situation, understanding the criteria. I'll talk to anybody.
Yeah.
I could sit here with you guys for 6 hours.
Easily. I mean, I know we're 2 hours in and we had that little 15-minute delay, but I got a couple of things else I want to get to. You got anything to touch on that, or you look like you're about to grab that mic and rip some fire into it?
No, I think it's important that our board members be accessible. Our phone numbers are going to be public. Our emails are going to be public. Just reach out to us as a candidate, both, and then hopefully I get elected as well as that. I think it's just important that if you have there's certain problems that I can address and certain ones that I can't. I'd like to be a conduit for information if I can as a board member. And then also, like, if it's important for me to bring attention to this, I will. And then if it needs to be addressed to someone else, I'd be happy to do that. And so I think every opportunity we can to have that community connect with us is very important. I would love the opportunity to do something like a regular Zoom meeting with the board members, but then again, like, you run into problems with sunshine laws and the state revised code. And so just trying to any way that I can through means like this, through the press, through office hours per se, whatever it is that we can be able to work with our community. I think that's just the most important thing.
Well, and I'm glad to hear too that your first thing you talked about was like, let's have a full audit, right? Not just the audit by the state, because we just had Trustee Paroli on. He talked about it. He's like, dude, everybody passes that audit, like, and stuff gets missed. But people just want to see transparency on where their stuff's spent. I mean, if you think about every bill that gets passed on the national level, why are we so pissed about them? We're pissed about them because we don't know who to believe, right? For instance, you're a Republican, so you should just go along with this because 195 or 165 Senate members went with it and they're Republican, and 52 Senate members went with it and they're Republican. But it realistically, no, I don't see the fine print. I don't know why they're voting. Why are these 25 guys saying no and they're all Republicans? They're on the same team. They should just vote the same way, right? No, there's obviously something in there that they don't like, but as a constituent to that, I don't get to see that full detail.
No.
And I'm sure as hell not going to read 600 bills. Now, back to AI. Analyze this for me and show me the details. That's one of those things that's out there now good for us. But when it comes to spend, I think if you were to break down every dollar that was spent and show that to everybody, I think once again, people just want to know. And
Yeah.
now all of a sudden you're like, hey, look, this is why if we don't pass this levy, the buses are going to get cut.
Right.
Because this is what salaries have jumped to over the last 5 years to keep good teachers.
Yeah.
Or, you know what I mean?
That's
Because
spot on.
obviously those are things that or, hey, we've taken on 200 additional students over the last 3 years that wasn't figured into the levy 5 years ago.
Right.
So this is how it affects here. Here's where we're here. You brought up some good points, and I was like, oh man, maybe just listen to the show. How many principals do we need in high school? We had one, and we had 340 students, and we were just fine. I think Medina has 4.
4 assistant and 1 head.
Okay.
About 2,200 pupils.
Wow, that's big. I mean, that's how big they were though in 2000. That's another thing that's interesting. Like Medina and Cloverleaf, they're passing levies, and as a local resident, I'm like, dude, we have more students in Cloverleaf than Medina did almost the 1 year. So it's where's that money going now? And obviously, you don't think about things like levies. Oh, levies are operating expenses. They're a 5-year levy, and then 5 years from now, all of a sudden, the house prices went up 30%. So in order for teachers to live here and teach here, they have to make more money, or the teachers are or Highland's offering them more money, or this is happening. So people just understanding that, I think that'll be extremely beneficial. I think the fact that that's one of the number one focuses you have is really strong, because I think that people see that and all of a sudden their mindset changes.
Well, it's got to be finance. I mean,
Yeah.
come election time, and then afterwards, when we're candidates elect, before the swearing in January, I know I've already talked and sat down with our superintendent with literally a piece of paper and a black marker. We need to craft a story, and it's not a fairy tale. It's a factual situation of where we're going and what this looks like.
Yeah.
This is the story we're going to narrate to the community, so they don't have those questions. They don't have those, well, I don't know where this goes.
Mm-hmm.
It's got to be that transparency, and we weren't failing at it before. But like I said, we were given the tagline, "Don't come to us until you need money." Well, I think both sides could mature a little bit in communication and come to terms where we need to be.
Yeah.
Well, everything knows that costs for very little have gone down. Like costs for everything has gone up. Well, I asked what day number 1 is for Aidan. So day number 1 of the next administration post this election, what's that look like for you, Chris? Is it just that sitting down with the story and?
Yeah, I mean, like I talked about, we have 1,300 students in the high school. We have 1 main principal and 1 assistant. Now I think there's might be a middle ground there,
Yeah, you guys could trade like some people there. Got to share. Come on.
Send them over for a couple of chairs.
First of all,
send you 25 chairs and 3 weekly lunches.
Deal. Who eats 30 lunches? I think we could, we could find you like that.
that was Adam Sandler. It was
Chris Farley eats
Yeah.
30 bags of lunches. Sorry, derailed. Constantly go there. There's a squirrel effect.
Billy Madison.
Squirrel.
Yeah, Billy Madison.
Yeah.
I couldn't movie quote that one. All right, go on.
I just think that finding the right amount of individuals to be in the building dictates to your community. Oh, I see where the headcount is. I see what the cost of living is. I see how these people need to operate. We clearly can't ask teachers or any staff members to operate off 2011 money.
Right.
Now they do get raises,
Sure.
and they do get steps. And that's where schools run out of money. It is literally designed by the state of Ohio to be a reoccurring situation where you continue to fund the schools really based upon how well they're doing.
Yeah.
I mean, top 19. I mean, talk to me, Goose. Where are we at? So 5 stars. Like I said, teach cursive. What do people want? And I think without going into all those little nuances, talk to the families. Get to learn more. My day 1 looks like, what does our future plan look like for money? Where are we headed? Now we do need the state to provide a lot of answers, but we can start to craft where we go, where they go.
So real quick, I know we touched on it a lot about what Highland's done versus Medina. I want to ask one question for both. For you,
Yeah.
What advice do you give Aidan? So Highland, 14 years
Yep.
without a levy.
Yeah.
How did you guys do it?
Well,
Looking back, because obviously one thing is no open enrollment. Is that something that changed in that last 12 or 14 years, or it's always been like that?
It's always been like that.
Always been that. Okay,
Yeah.
sorry. I'm just curious. What did you guys do? Because how are you still operating with a 14-year-old budget?
Right. It comes down to, like, I look at my job, like, outside of school. Like, why am I passionate about what I do? What makes me get up and walk 5 feet to my computer in my pajamas and do my job? Right? Like, what is that? It's the people around me. It's my leadership, but it's also the people on my team. I've only been there 3 months. but I've already made some really good relationships with people that I didn't know 4 months ago, and they're in my corner. So there's no mending of fences that need to happen between Medina and Highland. We're neighbors. Okay, it is what it is. I would like our own zip code so they stop calling us Medina Highland, but that's another day. But I think it goes to the board level. It comes from you guys. So you set the tone. You set the environment. And like I said, there's 4 people running for 3 spots. 3 of us are alumni. 2 of us are incumbents. I've been on the board 12 years. I graduated in 92. The other one graduated in 90. The new guy graduated in 87. The gentleman leaving graduated in 64. And our other gentleman who's not up is 78. Graduated 78. So it's about longevity. It's about community. You hear about people go, I'm going to join the school board to jump to the next position. I'm going to run for something at the state level. That doesn't work, man. Like the teachers smell it, the kids smell it. So I would say, make your community, like I said, I'm Highland first. I wear this crap all day long. Everybody sees it. Everybody knows who I am. I'll have the conversations. It's getting to the core value of community. And like I said, communities can be friends. But when it comes down to how do you operate like a Highland, it's all about commitment, advocacy, like we talked about, and heart. And it sounds cheesy, like an 80s movie, but that's the recipe, man. I said when I pulled back after Charlie Kirk got shot, it wasn't so much about JFK or MLK or Charlie or anybody in between. It was a point in time where you have to find what ticks for you, and you have to find what you're passionate about. I've probably said it 1,000 times these last few months. Passion, passion, passion. If you don't show it, it won't reciprocate into your kids, and it won't reciprocate into your community. We're tight-knit. You guys are tight-knit. That's where you got to run.
What do you think about that?
I'm really looking forward to a good working relationship with our other school districts in the county. I think it's going to be very difficult day one. It's going to be a very steep learning curve for me. But I'm looking forward to taking on this challenge. I'm going to need a lot of help. I'm going to need a lot of mentors. But I'm looking forward to being in good company with individuals like yourself and others who have, they've seen this before. And just looking forward to learning as much as I can to be in here and to see how much I can accomplish. And so it's going to be difficult, I know, but I'm looking forward to being in good company.
I think we met yesterday for the first time. And Aidan and I, people can't see hi. There were a lot of people in the room that were older. And I said earlier, they go on wisdom. Well, what wisdom does a 19-year-old have? How could this person lead a school? Dude, it goes back to the passion. You held the mic. James held the mic. You guys own the show. I don't care how old you are. It's the fact that, you're going to have a steep learning curve. Mm-hmm. It's cool. It is what it is. But that'll drive you through it because you want to get up. You want to do it. You want to make it better. And that's what I think day one looks like. It's just that step next forward. You're going to make that successful leap from what you put into it. Mm-hmm. I think you'll do fine.
Yeah, we've had some other candidates from other elections on with, I guess, similar political dynamics of multiple people in position, right? So it's so we recently had some township, a township candidate on, and we talked about the makeup of how that board works. And this is just personal opinion. Like, I think diversity is the strongest thing. Like, we're talking about how people are questioning levies and, what's going on with all of this stuff. If you have 5 people that are all the best of friends and they're cut and paste copies of each other and they all get along and they all agree on everything, like, I don't really know who in the public can just believe that that's a good representation of the public. And I think that's one of your biggest strengths as a candidate, in that, I think it's, again, I don't live in district, so I don't have a vote. So I'm out of, this is completely unbiased. But I mean, just looking at the makeup of, board, like, you want that group to not really agree on much so that they have to sit down and discuss everything and debate and convince each other of things. So, and some of our local townships that have theatrics, we'll just say, going on in their politics, I think it's a positive thing. It gives people a lot to talk about on the mom and dad's groups and all that crap, which is fine.
Well, I'll say we got hammered on that question. we had the Ridge and Rail again. We had a candidates night for the PAC a few weeks ago. And we had a gentleman in the crowd that was like, you all think the same. And I'm like, well, he goes, where's the diversity? And I just mentioned the years we graduated in 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s. My response to him was, we all take care of different facets. Missy on the board, she was 1990. She's volunteer extraordinaire. She's phenomenal. That's her cup of tea. She's more of a band person. I have the youth side, but I also have a high schooler and a middle schooler. We have people that own businesses. There's so much diversity. My answer to him was, you're looking at a machine that's running at top speed, doing very well. Budgets, the dollars being spent one time, $1 equals $3 basically. And he started to understand where I was coming from, because the desire to have arguments and have these blowouts in town, they're good because they foster conversation. But I think I was going on performance. What do we look like? How do we operate? And to say that, because one of the things was we're all friends. We know each other, but we have wildly different ideas. Like the executive sessions that we sit in that are not public, they get warm.
Yeah.
They go deep.
Well, I think the idea that every conversation has to be a difficult one is ridiculous, right? For instance, we're all sitting at your table. Can we all agree that the safety of our kids in school is important? Yes. Okay.
Check.
Not something we have to argue about.
Right.
Now you could go to the extreme side of things and be like, should we put litter boxes in the bathrooms?
I was going to say the same thing.
That is going to become it could be a very partisan argument that some people feel very strongly about, despite the fact that it might not affect them or 99% of the people that are involved.
Right.
But it might be something that's argued to a certain degree where eventually, you mentioned, why isn't there a diversity? I think the idea of diversity is ridiculous.
Well, COVID.
Diversity doesn't mean we have to all be different colors, different genders, different things. Diversity can just mean that we all come from different backgrounds. And
we do.
Right.
Heavily.
And just to clarify, there's no feral cat problems in either of your districts, right?
No.
Okay.
So I while that question comes up, I feel like that's one of those hyper-focused conversations that people are having right now is like diversity because, there's just 4 white guys sitting at a table right now. That's not a diverse conversation. Even though we all come from 4 different backgrounds, from 2-3 different states,
well,
right?
We're old, so
yeah, I'm not far behind. Shit.
But you got to be the middle,
right? Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So we're diverse in our own ways, and I think that's where we don't have to look at things in diversity in the sense of like religion, race, all those other aspects. Ultimately, the things that are heated disagreement should be a very small percentage.
Yes.
Then there's the ones in the middle that are like open debated because everybody has a different perspective on where dollars should be spent. What's the most biggest priority? And those are not heated debates. Those are good conversations where we all get to voice our opinions. And if you're smart, you're using a whiteboard to look at pros and cons. You're looking at different aspects of it. And then you guys come to a consensuous agreement based off of intelligent conversation to make an educated decision. Unfortunately, people want that extreme shit.
They do.
They want it in every aspect of their life. They want it when they go to the gas station. It's why when you didn't wear a mask in 2021, some old lady would start screaming at you in a gas station. It's why there's a No Kings protest, despite they're allowed to have a No Kings protest and nobody's chopping off their heads.
Right.
It's it's what people want. So I guess my question, do you have a couple more that you want to ask as well? Because I got just one that I kind of want to touch on.
To touch up on what you guys were asking earlier.
Yeah.
We have, unfortunately, the polarity or the opposite side of that right now on the Medina City School Board. It was an initiative pushed by a former board president who's still on there and will not be running again in this term, to have a unified front with every single aspect. And so, of course, I did not see what those discussions looked like, but I think you should still be debating in front of the people. You don't have to have those divisive debates on every single thing. You need to still have those discussions though, because if not, you kind of start, getting a little treacherously close to like a round robin meeting. And so I think it's important. One of my day one D1 haters of the campaign, he's not like my top 5. I have some rank stuff. I have some funny stuff that people have said against me, but like his, first of all, like just kind of off track. My favorite one is a measles loving conspiracy theorist. I was posting a video for just us walking in the 4th of July parade. And someone went like, we do not need a measles loving conspiracy theorist on the school board. And I was just like, okay.
You've made it.
I just is that I don't know. Maybe I get that on a name plaque or something. It was kind of funny. I don't even know where it came from. But anyway, like the first person to start hating on me was in like March. So we just kind of slowly but surely, we just kicked off like the concept of our campaign. We pulled a petition in December, and in March we were like, okay, we're doing this. Let's start getting our social media active. And he's like, you do not have enough experience to be on the school board. How dare you even run? You need to go to college for business and then work like several years in the workforce and then maybe consider running then. And like, I feel like if an individual tried to become a master in every single topic that was discussed on a school board, it would take millennia to become a master on everything. You're discussing, HR, you're discussing policy, law, curriculum, education, all of these things. There's a million different things that you have to become knowledgeable on. And so I can't be a master of everything, but what I can do is I can provide my perspective of being a recent graduate, my perspective of understanding classical studies and classical learning. I can understand and bring those perspectives forward and then bring to diversify the group on the board. And so I think that's very important. And so where people would see possibly youth and experience in me, I see a fresh perspective that would be able to help be a part of this board. At the end of the day, I can't do anything by myself. The only power is vested explicitly into the body politic, the board itself. And so I think it's important that we have a diverse board of different backgrounds, whether or not you're a teacher or a student.
Well, the fact that you're so young, I think is a great impact because once again, that's something that's missing from most school boards. You mentioned you're the youngest on your school board at 51 years old. You haven't been to high school in 30 years. How do you know what it's like? I mean, now you're fortunate enough that you have a high schoolers in a middle school in school, but you just went through it. So every decision that the board discusses, you have a whole different input. Like, listen, I went through that. I had handled that. Here's what it did for me, and here's what a lot of my classmates said about it.
Yeah, there was a situation where it was called potty jumping or something. No, it was devious licks. It was this trend in like 2021, 2022.
Oh my God, it's just the one where they lick the toilet.
No. It's the concept of like just stealing stuff. Like a devious lick was like just you're stealing something. And so it started off with stuff small. And then they found a very legitimate trend. And then somehow the school principal emailed out a list saying, do not do these things. And then had like a thing for every single month. One of them was like deck the halls and show your balls. It was like flashing the front office. This is not a real thing. This is like, if the school board, if I was somehow on the school board at that time, I would be like, what are you talking about? This is not real. You are encouraging students to do these things.
Absolutely.
They effectively, there was potty jumping. Students, because of that, were encouraged to jump on a toilet until it physically broke off the wall. Because of that, people were peeing inside of soap dispensers, and people didn't know whether or not they could wash their hands or whether or not their hands were going to be.
Oh my God!
You need someone who's the voice of reason. Who still, I'm 19. I think I'm rather mature, but I still have that childish background. I understand what a pupil was thinking at that time. You need someone who's going to say, okay, maybe we should not encourage students to do these things. We should not bring attention to these things because by doing that, you're encouraging them. And so it's just by having that perspective, like I understand what's going on. I understand how these policies are actually going to be instituted, how the student who should be our chief focus is going to be affected by it.
But seriously, why Latin?
Latin?
Yeah.
Well, the first reason was, so I was trying to do I took 4 years of Latin in high school. I was actually I was a part of the last Latin 4 class, and I really struggled with it because Latin is a very compounding language. If you struggle at the bottom, you will fail at the top. And my first year of Latin, half of it was taught on online.
Oh, wow.
And so you can imagine how that was. And so I took 4 years of Latin in high school, and I'm continuing it now. The first reason was because there was no German. I wanted to do German. There was no German.
Really?
Yes. Yeah, we currently have, they phase out Latin. No more Latin now. We currently have Spanish, French, American Sign Language. I think that's about it. We have Spanish, French, and American Sign Language. Most people took American Sign Language because it was substantially easier.
Right.
Instead of taking Latin, which is a very virtuous language. The first reason I say that Latin is a virtuous language is I learned more English grammar, English words in Latin class than I did in English comp and English lit. Second of all, your vocabulary is just skyrocketed.
Especially for studying law. So I get that connection. So
extremely important. And then also like, you're learning of these things. Like one of my favorite tales was, or not tales, but true stories, was translating Cicero's orations against Catiline. Basically, Cicero was a statesman, and Catiline was basically trying to destroy the Republic, the Roman Republic. And he's like, we know that what you are doing. And he gives off these wonderful orations talking about that. And you learn about things of a culture, one of the greatest societies that we've ever had here on Earth and in its history. And so you get engraved into all these aspects of life. Winston Churchill says that we should teach every boy English, and Latin is an honor and Greek is a treat. And so it's such a virtuous language. There's so much more beyond just knowing Latin. You're never going to speak it.
Would it be more useful if they offered Arabic or Chinese in schools?
I could see the use. Once again, you're going to have to combat that. As a student, I can get an easy A in American Sign Language, or I can study a more virtuous language. I think that would be wonderful if we could have Chinese Mandarin. I think we used to have Mandarin.
Yeah, Cloverleaf had Mandarin in 2000.
Yeah.
Wasn't a big class.
Arabic would be nice too. I just, once again, going into those things of equipping a student beyond the means of just taking tests. And so I wish we could bring back Latin. Once again, it's one of those things of budgets. If you bring back Latin, you're going to have to cut back something else. But I think it's a discussion that needs to be had. It's one of my, what I call breadcrumbs, things that I can't promise, but I still want to look at. Other stuff like home economics and what have you. But I think Latin is a virtuous language.
Do they teach home ec?
Well, they have a class that my daughter actually took. I can't recall what it is.
It's something science.
It's like in 9th or 10th grade, but you basically learn how to cook. She
Yes.
made drywall. She did birdhouse. She did it was like a shop combined. It was like basically how to like be a handyman at your house class or something.
Medina has, they recently started up. I was waitlisted. This is how much desire there is for it. There was a baking class. I think we should teach both men and women in our schools how to bake. I think that's just important. Take that beyond like to cooking, to grilling, to fishing,
Yeah.
and those kind of things. There was also a really nice thing. I think we had small engines class. We had home maintenance, which was here's how you do drywall. Here's how you do electrical wiring.
Yeah, did that class get cut?
No, we still have it.
Oh, okay. My daughter
And
took
it's
that class.
very popular. And it's
bet.
it's like in those like gambit of like if you want to do like aerospace engineering. Besides that,
I was
there's other
surprised that
things.
my 14-year-old daughter wanted to do it. I was like, "You're doing what?" And then she brought me home like I forget what it was, but I was like, "That's actually really impressive. Like,
Yeah.
man, that's awesome."
So
And
it's
she was
fun.
really proud of it. So like those are things too that build kids' confidence too. It's
Yes.
just like one of those things where it's like, where are all the people going? Like our dads, like our dads. I don't know about your dad, but like our age dads, like they knew how to fix everything from a car to a plumbing issue to building a whole house by hands. And that got kind of lost in translation. We just know how to do like half of it, and then we watch YouTube videos do the other half. And then there's like this next generation where it's like, I got a flat tire. Somebody come fix this for me. I don't know what to do, but everywhere in between. But it's great to have those classes that, like you said, prepare kids for after.
Yeah.
Right.
And on that topic, I'm just going to do a little quick shout out to my parents. I have the most awesome parents ever. They love me to death. They really equip me. They hold me accountable. And so part of my language, my father's a badass. He was in the Army. And so you can really tell a lot of who I am through my parents. And so shout out to my father, my mother. She's awesome. She's so sweet. I love her to death. She sees the hate comments that people are making on social media.
I'm
It just
sure.
it hurts her heart. But shout out to my parents, and then also to our viewers at home. If you haven't told your parents recently, tell them that you love them. Reach out to them.
Spoken like a true politician.
but yeah, I
You
just
sound
want-
good
I just-
right now.
Don't
bud.
forget to vote.
I would be remiss if I didn't. And so yeah, I think my parents were a big part of myself. But just on the topic, on your father being able to do these things, my father can. He's pretty awesome. And so-
Awesome. All right. We started a new segment that we're gonna do every week. One piece of advice you would have given your younger self. I'm interested to share with us what you guys put when I asked you. You can go first, Aidan. Your younger self, which was
Last week.
2 years ago.
just earlier today.
Yeah.
Don't show up to every fight you're invited to. It's a lesson I learned on the campaign trail that I wish I would have used earlier in life in different aspects. I didn't respond to every survey that I got on the school board race. I didn't respond to the teachers union survey requests. I said respectfully, I declined. Thank you for the opportunity. You don't have to show up to every fight you're invited to. When I was a kid, I tried to. And so looking back as a childish self, I would probably give that as my advice.
Awesome. And what about you?
Yeah, I go back to the self-advocation. I learned it way too late. My boys know it inside and out right now. And I would say the fights, I don't, how do you say this? I don't take all the bites. Like, my wife hates when she sees those comments. My mom does too. But it's okay. They have their opinion. Don't get sucked into everything. I'm having a text with my wife right now about somebody who's doing that. And I just said, chill, don't worry about it. Be above the fray.
Yeah.
So my young self, chill out, advocate for yourself, and you'll probably hit a home run. But you got to be there for yourself.
Awesome. And then the other part of this is one story that defined you. You go first on this one, Chris.
Okay. So with that struggle, so I went to Highland. I graduated in 92. And then, God, somebody's going to write me about this, but I went to Tri-C right afterwards. And my buddy Joel, who is a huge Beastie Boys fan, we went to Tri-C together. We got booted out for a whole year because we had a 0.25 GPA. Now, mind you, I have since received a computer science degree and I have a master's. So I did turn around, but the part that I was most proud about, I was 32 when I was finishing my last year at Baldwin Wallace. And I was so naive when I played high school football that I thought when you just left high school, you just signed up for your next collegiate team. Guess what, Chris? You don't. I played 1 year as a 32-year-old for Baldwin Wallace, and I was invited back the next year. But we found out on awards banquet night that we were pregnant with my oldest. So it was more of a checkbox of a bucket list item. I so severely wanted to play college football. So I played one season. I played all JV. I dressed for some of the varsity games, but I have an official catch. I have the ball. I have the helmet. And on October 29th, it'll be 18 years since that took place.
Awesome.
Yeah. So
awesome,
it's just
dude.
about empowering yourself to do something you thought you never could.
Hell yeah, man.
Do you still follow B-Dub football?
Yeah.
Yeah. Our very good friend of ours, her younger brother, Kyle Langenbrunner.
Yes.
Yeah. Good friend of ours,
Well,
whole family.
And you talk about like the wrestling community. My boys wrestle. I help coach wrestling and I do jujitsu. Those worlds are all tied together.
Oh, sure.
And I'll give a shout out to my coach, Coach Luke. Great guy. I've been doing jiu-jitsu 8 years. I found him about 2 years ago. And you want to talk about a family, you want to talk about BW being small, you want to talk about jiu-jitsu. Those are the things that rebuild people and build them back up. So BW was a great experience. They called me Pops because I was so old.
Been there, done that.
A lot of friends that go to Medina, their kids are in Medina schools. They still see me and call me Pops. So just an experience you'll never get to repeat.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it was good.
Aidan, for you, one defining moment in your whole 19 years of life, brother. He's like, I have so many.
To be honest, I mean, there's a lot of things that I could point at that have really refined the individual that I am now. One of them would probably be the ongoing struggle of trying to start a turning point chapter at Medina High School. We saw a desire, basically before COVID happened, we all got together. It was presidential year, and we were like, well, who do we support? And we were like, well, our parents are Republican. That must mean we're Republican. And of course, down that line, we have learned a lot more. What does it mean to be more over a conservative? That's more of a rooted terminology, whereas Republican can shift, various ways depending on who's in charge. But we tried to start a turning point chapter at Medina High School. We started going through the official avenues. We went to the student council, and they said no. We went to the assistant superintendent, who was the interim principal at the time. She said no. The new principal said no. The superintendent said no, and went to the school. We went to the school board, and they just recessed and then did nothing else. And so that got me really involved in civics and in politics because I had to learn constitutional law. I had to go to the county law library and sit down and research these books. What are our rights as students? And so that really, it's still an ongoing struggle. We're still trying to get that to happen. And so we are very fortunate of the strides that we've made. And I made a lot of errors when I was trying to do that. I could have done a lot of things better. But I was fortunate for that opportunity to just be challenged, to have to learn things, to go to the law library to try to figure these things out. And it really shaped me into wanting to go into statesmanship, to wanting to go into law, opposed to before I just wanted to go into theater. And so I guess, unfortunately, a lot of it kind of hand over fist, the same thing. But at the end of the day, it really defined me as to who I am. It made me challenge myself. It made me challenge others. I had to work with the current administration of our schools. It put me into an interesting situation. And so it kind of goes back to, it led me to run for school board. It was not the only reason, but it really led me to run for school board in the effect that I was like, these people are not respecting the rights of students who are their bosses. And then it's the school board. And so it's very interesting, but that was a very defining moment of my time in my 19 years here on Earth.
What else you got, David?
No, I'm good.
You guys were both awesome. I appreciate you coming on. There's probably so much more that we can talk about, discuss, and get into hours. There's some crazy extreme stuff that we can discuss, but I don't think that's really relevant right now. I think you guys both have the right ideas, the right heads on your shoulders as far as run. Anything that you guys want to share with anybody before we take off for the night?
Just thanks for the invitation.
Absolutely.
Great conversation. Glad, like I said, just meeting Aidan yesterday, having a quality back and forth conversation. None of us are alone in this. It is a community thing. I'll beat that drum until I am not able to. And again, it's just about what do you do for your community? Those are the people that you want to talk to and support. That's where I sit.
Perfect. Thank you once again for having us, and really look forward to working together. Hopefully, if the electorate of Medina chooses me to be on their school board, I look forward to working together with our neighboring communities.
Absolutely. And if anybody else is interested in coming on and sharing their point, we're not biased to anybody coming on and having a discussion. Obviously, here at Guys Night, we try to get the point across. And once again, it's just open conversation. The fact that you guys were able to sit here 3 hours almost. I apologize for taking up a little bit more of your time than I expected, but absolutely. And for everybody else listening, like, subscribe, and have a great night, everybody.
Good night.
That was awesome, guys.
Nothing off limits, we got something to say. Life and love, fitness, and fight all day.